Hello, guys. Welcome to election night coverage in Russia, live from Moscow and Crimea and some other places. Sorry, I didn't have my intro music. Why do I not have my intro music, Kevin?
I thought you were going to start it. We can start over. I can do it, but hey.
No, I just didn't see it.
It's cool. The screen was only blue for like 10 seconds. It's cool. You don't need to do that, I don't think.
Yeah,
actually, I'm the guy who was supposed to play it. So,
well, guys, thank you so much for coming on and joining us. This is Joseph Rose, expat American. We have Kevin Michelizzi here. He is the American in Crimea. We have Tim Kirby, hardcore.
Yeah.
And basically, it is election night in Russia, or election weekend, rather. And we thought it would be interesting to cover this and have different guests on and watch it happen live, and that you might want to be with us and just hang out with us and see the results come in. You're either a Russian and you want to know what English speakers think of you, or you're an English speaker somewhere in the world and you want to know what's going on in Russia because you're curious, or because maybe you're crazy and you might want to move here one day, right? So without further ado, welcome to Expat American. As I said, I am the Expat American. Tim, tell us who you are.
Oh, well, below it says Tim Kirby Russia Hardcore. That is my Telegram channel that has a lot of stuff, mostly news, more on the sort of serious side. That's why it's hardcore. But if you want to find some really good travel videos, look for me on YouTube, Tim Kirby's Travels. I believe that's what it's called nowadays. But on Rumble, it has the old name, RTTT, and R and 3 T's. You'll find me there on Rumble. And hey, support Rumble. It's has a lot more freedom of speech on the platform. Wow. So go watch my videos there.
Yeah. So I agree. I have some videos up on Rumble in case I disappear here.
Yeah. So, dude, so far so good. So far so good. They haven't blocked anything. It's amazing.
Really? I heard that if you were in France, Rumble might be a problem. Is that true?
Yeah, that's kind of the way the French laws work, is that they have total like lockdown of bad information on the territory of France, which, remember, France actually has a lot of little islands and stuff. So France is a little bit bigger than what it seems on the map, but still, for the rest of the world, it's pretty gung-ho. So that's nice.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to hear. So, Kevin, who are you?
I'm a guy with funny sounds in his ears.
Oh,
yeah. Well, if you're not ready, man, we're moving on. I'm gonna hide your screen.
I hear somebody talking about Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
Roosevelt. I'll tell you one thing. Maybe there are some secrets in this weird place that I live at, but there are no like goblins talking about Roosevelt. I can tell you that much. Maybe it's the bats outside.
All right. Well, so Kevin, who are you?
So I'm the American in Crimea. You know, I stream about life in Crimea and Russia, and I also have an information warfare channel, which is all about propaganda. So you can find stuff there at InfoWars Press as well.
Okay.
And I found the goblin.
All right. And I want to say this before we get too deep into this. What's on your shirt, Mr. Tim?
Oh, well, because I'm supposedly an upstanding member of society, the People's Front gave select guests, regular guests of their program, the T-shirt and sort of the opportunity to kind of rally the troops in support of a particular candidate. For those of you who are learning Russian,
okay, we don't need to say who that is.
Yeah, it's team of somebody. So there you go. It's a good Russian grammar lesson, because you can see, wait, where's the A? The A is on this side. So here's his name. Hold on. So here's his name, and if you say team of this person, you add an A at the end. That's the grammar lesson. Genitive case, baby. Yeah. So it's kind of actually an honor, because apparently the people there thought I was important enough to include me in their big sort of PR machine, I guess we could call it. So it was cool. And I'm glad to do it, because I would have voted for him anyways. So who cares?
Okay, very good. So, all right. Well, Kevin, why don't you tell us who is on the ballot and who are they? And as this night goes, please give us election updates if and when they start to come in.
Well, what I will do is I will share a screen with you first.
Oh,
Please.
okay.
And we can actually see the guy's pictures. So takes me a while to move around all the tabs. We have so many
while he's
boxes.
getting
I don't
that
know what you
ready,
were doing,
guys.
Joseph.
Huh? What's
So-
that?
I said, you put so many boxes up here on me. So,
No, that's
this
you,
is
man.
this is the first guy we have on the ballot. Actually, he's not the first guy on the ballot. He's actually the last guy on the ballot in the list. But Harantonov, who he's the oldest guy participating in the elections. He is the communist guy. And he is running on a platform of this little bit down here. We tried capitalism and we've had enough. So he wants to introduce. Yeah, I haven't had enough either. So yeah, hit the dollar sign down at the bottom for Joseph and I. But he wants to abolish taxes for low-income people. He wants a progressive tax scale, lower the retirement age, and wants to follow China as an example for combined capitalism and socialism. So, that's kind of his deal. Slutsky.
Him, Kevin, in all seriousness, because I'm recent to this country. I've been here for 2 years. And since I was raised in America, like you guys, the word communism sounds scary to me. Am I crazy to think that? Or now that I'm living in Russia, should I give it another look?
Well, I would say that I legit know some people who actually keep trying to call me when I'm doing the freaking. You turn the phone on for 1 minute and it ruins your life. But anyways, I do know some people who, despite, I'll put it this way, you'd be amazed at just how it seems obvious that the way the Soviet Union kind of went, which created the 90s, and then Putin sort of comes in and gets rid of this. You would think there'd be very, very few people who would support something going back to the Soviet Union when it's in such recent memory. And yet there are. I definitely wouldn't say there are not a majority, but there is a strong contingent. And where does this come from? In my opinion, it comes from the fact that there are certain slogans. Back then, everything was free. Education was free. Vacation was free. It wasn't free. You had to work at a government-based job where the government determined how much money you made, so that way they would provide the education for you that they wanted. Nothing was free. Just like now. You still had to work. It's just now you have a little bit of a choice of different employers or whatever. Back then you had one employer who set universal salaries.
Very good.
So it's all about the marketing and the marketing of communism. I've heard that a lot of people that sort of, if you're kind of more, let's just put it this way, if you're kind of on the losing end of stick in life, communism sounds good because it gives you a boost. Whereas if you're on the winning end of the stick in life, communism drags you down. And so it's just sort of like, as long as there are losers, there will always be communists.
Okay, so to put it more delicately, it's not a popular movement. Is that right?
Not popular enough to win any elections. No, not yet.
Okay. So it's something like the Green Party in America, something like that.
Well, it's better than the Green Party because they usually Zyuganov was more famous, right? Basically, they used to always get something like 18-20%, which is a pretty significant amount. But I think this time, because they have a new candidate who they didn't push whatsoever, I think they've just sort of accepted that it's the middle of a conflict and nothing is going to change. So they're just letting it fly this time. So they're probably going to get way less than 18%.
Okay.
So,
all right, so that's our first candidate. But Kevin, you wanted to go on with this, or do you want to introduce someone new to the audience?
Well, I actually want to introduce Rick Walker. He is a colleague of mine. He is a journalist extraordinaire from Maverick News in Canada. So he will come in with some of the off the wall, questions, maybe some of the anti-Russia type questions or something. I don't know.
Speaking of off the wall, I'm wondering what I've gotten myself into here. I've waded into a a debate on anti-communism.
No.
I don't know what this is about.
I'm the
But it sounds
anti
very
guy. I don't know
interesting.
what Tim is.
Well, I think we're all kind of anti here, but it's just because that besides the main United Russia Party, the other little parties of Russia is you have the Communist Party, you have the Liberal Democratic Party, which is more like libertarian. That's, I think, more what they mean, even though sometimes they're not. And then you have the Fair Russia or Just Russia, depending how you want to translate it. And then the newest party, ironically, is the New People, which is the Business Party, like the pro-business party. So that's kind of what you have. But all those parties are very small and not super successful.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
the New
so
People,
Rick,
they're successful
welcome.
because they're new and they got on. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Rick, welcome. You're the Canadian of the bunch, and you're a radio guy. And I actually watched your show with Kevin earlier today.
Oh, did you?
All right.
Oh,
So
okay.
Kevin, who's next?
So who's next is got to flip around to tabs. I've learned to organize my tabs like Rick taught me. So we have Slutsky, and he is the Liberal Democratic Party guy. And he took over just a couple of years ago from the guy who used to run this. But he's, as we look down here, he's talked about his predecessor predicting events in other countries, country 404. And he wants more cooperation with Asian countries and to consider the West a threat. He wants tighter legislation on foreign agents and ramping up the special military operation.
Well, and
so
he
he's
also
kind of our.
I just want to say on his billboards, he had two things that are fascinating. The first one is he said, every Russian family should live in its own home. Single family residence, baby. Make Russia America again. So that's number one. And number two, he has one of his slogans is the deeds of Zhirinovsky will continue. So.
Interesting.
Wow.
Make Russia America again?
Yeah, because dude, single family housing is like the core of what makes America kind of different. And on their own, Russians have really, since COVID happened, have really shifted over towards buying houses. And it was just very interesting to me to see a president here say, Russian families need to move into houses, and everyone should get a house and be able to afford a house. Single family residences. That's kind of was on his billboards. That was a big part of his campaign there. So of all the candidates that aren't the emperor there, Slutsky is like the only one who put effort into this. Like Slutsky is on his way to becoming a household name. So he's doing a good job. The other ones I think are just.
Is his party like something like DC, like liberal Democrats in America? Is it similar to that?
No, I'd say it's supposed to be libertarian in theory. But again, Russians don't really understand that. So it's kind of like libertarian nationalist, direct contradiction in terms. I once read a really long breakdown of all the opinions of the LDPR party, and they're just kind of all over the place. But so it's kind of like you take the sort of libertarian core of let people decide for themselves. Hey, let's have private property. You want to own a gun and all that, but all that should serve the interests of society. So you get into something which is kind of, but the problem is they never really put that together into something more cohesive over the years. So yeah.
That's
is
interesting.
Single-family homes, is that something that Russia wants, that Russian citizens are excited about?
Well, again, if you think about it, over a lot of the elections, you kind of have the big central party tends to get that big fat 50 to 60%, and then the communists get about 20%, and LDPR gets about 20%. So in some ways, if you think about there's sort of 5 people in Russia, you have, I don't know, 3 of them are part of the big party. One of them is a communist, and then one of them probably voted LDPR in a very general sense. So is it popular? Kinda. I mean, that's pretty good if you think about it.
Is that here in Canada, and I think in the US as well, people who are sort of in tune see Russia and Putin as being very pro-family, very traditional in values. Over here, we're more liberal. And I think this idea of the white picket fence and the single family home is something that's diminishing over here. I
Yeah.
think only about 60% of homes in the US now are single family houses. More people, and here in Canada, they're pushing for more what they call densification
Yeah.
of urban areas, pushing people more into more concentrated living areas in big cities. How does that fit in with what's going on over there with this single family idea or concept in Russia?
Well, to go real quick into it, I'm going to do like Putin. I'm going to go back in time a little bit, but I'm going to do it much faster than he did. So after World War II, one third of the country was blown up. It was basically like everything in America from the East Coast to the Mississippi River got melted. And so they had to build stuff fast. And that's where the commie block apartments came from, where they had to build them faster and faster and faster. And what was a commie block apartment? They did some math about what was the absolute minimum space you needed to, use the toilet, take a bath, all this. Thankfully, Russians are big and the country is big, so those measurements are pretty decent, better than Hong Kong. But still, here comes the commie block apartments as the solution. Now we have capitalism, we have a lot more freedom, and of course, people started to build more homes. There were single-family residences under communism that did exist, okay, but it was kind of more difficult to do. But anyways, after COVID hit and people sort of thought about, I want to stay outside more, then there's become an explosion. Houses used to be sort of cheap and land was really cheap, and then COVID came, and then now everything's different. Now everyone wants to buy a house, and so the prices on everything related to construction and housing has really gone up, but the demand for single-family housing is also going up in Russia. So it's becoming more popular, and it's becoming a lot more competitive to apartment buildings. I would say they're kind of almost reaching maybe an equilibrium between each other, whereas like in the early 90s, no one would think of buying a house. That's too hard to maintain. It's too expensive.
Yeah, I don't want to take you down, a side road too much, but what about the affordability of housing? What's that look like?
Well, not too great. I mean, like I basically came here like a Mexican migrant worker. I own 3 pieces of property. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can do it. I'm living proof of that. Kevin's the same thing. But ultimately, here's one thing that often happens, which is the difference between Russians and foreign people, is there's this sort of game of growing up. So basically, I bought an apartment in Moscow that's tiny, but I got a good deal on it, and it was in a nice area. I don't live there. The only reason is so that way I can sell it later, and so that way I can buy a nicer apartment, like for my kids and all that. And that plan is what a lot of Russians do. They have a place somewhere, they sell it, and they use that money to take out a mortgage with a huge deposit, take out a mortgage on something better. They wait 5 years, so they don't have to pay taxes on it. If you live in a place 5 years, you have to pay taxes on it. Then they sell it to go up again. That's kind of how people creep and crawl into nicer living conditions within Russia. They don't just like go from flat nowhere and take out a 30-year mortgage to buy a giga house when they have just like a college degree and no career. That a lot of it is based on selling stuff that they already have in their family or whatever.
Right. Well, I grew up in small town America, so it was always single family homes for me. And I've been here for 2 years in New York style living, which is fantastic because everything's so close. That's the way I feel right now. So I feel like now it's more personal preference, that one is not better than another.
People do have a bit of a choice, but I'll put it this way, if you're working some kind of, I don't know, really average dinky job here, it's going to be really hard to buy a place to live, just like it is in America now. But you do have a choice. I mean, I think both houses and apartments have become equally viable lifestyle choices, so which is good. It gives people choice. We want to have choice.
All right. Well, why don't we move on to the third guy since it's election night coverage?
So before we do that, I'm going to clarify a little bit here for Rick's understanding, because I actually see a couple of people in the chat disagreeing, Svetlana particularly.
Svetlana?
So she's kind of, she's kind of talking about you guys. Yeah, she's talking about you guys being in your little Moscow circle up there. And, what we see in Crimea is actually a lot of people own homes, but is what they do is a little bit differently, kind of like what Tim was talking about. They buy a piece of land, they put a very, very small house on it. And as they collect money, they add on to it as they can afford it.
Well,
So
yeah,
we've got
yeah,
neighbors who,
Yeah, because you
Go
don't
ahead.
have to do like you have to pay for 5 million permits. There's no inspectors. You just build it, especially if you're going to use it for yourself.
Right.
Just build it however the hell you want. That's another huge difference between America and Russia. Yeah. That's good point. Great point.
Yeah. So people live on what they can afford until they can afford more. So in that, Tim is totally correct. We don't see a lot of mortgages in Crimea. I don't know what the interest rates are up, around Moscow, but they're running about 26% down here right now.
Okay.
One time when I had to go to the tax offices in Chekhov County, they actually displayed the amount of people who live in the urban part of Chekhov versus the rural part. And despite the fact that it's in the region outside of Moscow, there are more rural dwellers in Chekhov County that are in houses than there are in apartments. And that's in a county where you hop on a train and you're already in downtown Moscow. So that also shows like the contrast, even within the sort of Moscow universe,
Right. All right, Kevin, number 3.
Okay. Number 3, Danokov. And he is the liberal of the group, I would say. His platform, he's fairly new to the market. And he believes that Russia can't be cut off from Europe or Asia. And instead of looking for enemies, we should be looking for friends and partners, mutual relationships. He wants to simplify the repatriation program for Russians. And, he basically wants peace and negotiations with Ukraine, with the caveat on Russia's terms, no steps back. So, but he also admits that the West isn't ready for such discussions. So,
So he's more like the DC guy.
Yeah, he's
right?
the DC guy.
Like the liberal.
Comments, Tim?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I say, the new people are kind of the business party. And in Russia, if you're the business party, that kind of means you're liberal because it means you're economically liberal, right? Whereas in America, we have this sort of the juxtaposition. Thank you. Where you have someone is the right is socially conservative but economically liberal, and then the left is the opposite. In Russia, generally, they're just distinct. Sort of like if you're really, really pro business, then you're just a liberal. Because ultimately in Russia, almost everyone is socially conservative, especially compared to the West. So yeah. But this party, they kind of came out of nowhere during the last Duma elections. It's their, again, like I mentioned, it was their first time making the cutoff of whatever it is, 5% of the voters. So that's pretty successful. And if you care about business, that's all they talk about. So they can be very attractive to a certain segment, really, of society. But I don't know if that's ever going to be really big enough in society, because the average Russian person is not a business owner, despite the fact that they've done a very good job to make the tax laws benefit small businesses really well. So, but so far, I think the new people are going to be always a bit of a niche movement, but that's okay. Business needs to be represented too.
Right. So he is business liberal, but you think he is socially conservative?
Well, no, like I was saying, that juxtaposition here doesn't exist. Other than kind of everyone is socially liberal, like there isn't that sort of right and left side battle that just doesn't exist. The battle that existed for all those years that I was here was mostly the patriots, who are sort of the people for Russia, versus the liberals who wanted to sell the country out. And so that's kind of sort of worked its way into the past, and now it's kind of not really clear what the sort of ideological battleground is going to look like, if there's even going to be one. And maybe that's what this election actually reflects, is that there's kind of not really much to fight over.
Right.
Generally things are kind of on track for the overwhelming majority, and so let's just kind of let it let it go. But the new people,
That's
one thing
very
they do
interesting,
have,
yeah.
which is a huge advantage over the other parties, the communists are really dumb when it comes to PR because they're communists and they're old and they're dumb. LDPR, well, at least under Zhirinovsky said a lot of prophetic and brilliant things, but he did it like a clown, like a complete clown with a lot of arm waving, so much arm waving all the time, you know. And the new
That's
people,
because he has
however,
Italian blood.
yeah, in a lot of ways. Well, as we all know, he also wasn't exactly quite the classical Russian in terms of his family background, but we don't need to get into that. But anyways, with the new people, what they have to offer is that since they have a lot of business acumen, I've talked to a few of them, they are much better at, say, speaking, communicating, PR. I think that could be one of their strengths. They're just maybe... they really realize the value of that kind of stuff, whereas I think the others don't. So they could have a bright future because they're just better in that sort of PR information kind of battleground. But will they commit to this and really try to fight it out? I don't know. Maybe if they all get their niche little pet projects approved and everyone gets the taxation that they want and the business deals that they want, maybe they won't really fight very hard. Who knows? So.
Okay, very good. All right, well, who's next, Kevin? One more guy, right?
One more guy. He's the big unknown in all of this.
What's his name?
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Commander Putin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, what can we say about him? He's been around for a while, and you know, he's very conservative, family value, pro-family. He, you know, laid out his platform in his speech to the Federal Assembly. So, you know, some of this has been fighting poverty, supporting families with children, particularly large families, and strengthening Russia's economic independence, and really pushing programs for technology and science. You know, a lot of the similar stuff as the Soviet Union did, but in a more, can we say, capitalist way.
You know, Kevin, that's one thing. Taking some of the positives of the Soviet Union, but not changing back to that goofy economic system. That's fine. We can do that. It's okay. But we don't need the goofy economic system anymore. That's in the past.
Right. And he's also for you know, modernizing the country's infrastructure, tax reform, improving historical sites, continuing a lot of the things that he's been doing over the last 20 years. And then, of course, his other thing is strengthening the military.
Well,
so,
yeah, that's a very relevant topic at the moment.
Yep.
So, guys, what do you think? If you're a Westerner and you've only heard what the mainstream media tells you, but now you're a little bit open-minded because you saw my show or Tim's show and you thought those guys are cool and they seem to think Russia's all right. And how do I know more about Putin? Is he all right? I would say watch the Oliver Stone interviews if you only know English. Is there another thing you guys would recommend for people that don't really know Putin yet or want to kind of rediscover who he is?
Oh, well, I would say, well, again, also you mentioned the Oliver Stone interviews. I would say the Tucker Carlson interview was pretty good because I think he came across with he really expressed the level of just annoyance that I think the Russian masses feel towards the West in general, of like, why are you doing this to us? I think that really that was a pretty good, interesting interview. But one thing that would probably be easier is trying to find people over the age of 30 who are Russians and who've lived in this system and talk to them about it, or especially talk to them about how things used to be versus how they are now. You know, you don't have to trust me. Talk to all of them. I say over 30 because it's usually the 18-year-olds that think, well, we always have the same leader. You know, that's something bad about that. Let's fight the power. You know, let's just fight the power by doing drugs. So
it's difficult over here to find alternative information because there is a real level of censorship over here. RT not, you know, taken off the air, and even online, I think there's real suppression. So it's a difficult thing.
Yeah, when RT was officially banned in the West, that was a real sad day for freedom of speech. Because I can tell you one thing, there comes a point when people can go over the line, and I never heard RT being like, burn everything in the West, destroy your leaders, none of that, not even a hint of that. So horrible, no one cried fire in a crowded theater, as they say, So that was a real blow to freedom of speech.
Okay, cool. Well, it looks like we have a special guest on. Before we move to him, Kevin, do we have any election night updates yet?
Well, actually, we do. I saw that the site where they were listing the percentage of Russians who had voted actually came down just a little while ago. And last I saw it, it was at 82%. But let's keep in mind that there's still voting going on in Europe and the US, Canada at the embassies. So they've got, about another 6 hours of voting going on there. Unfortunately, Hawaiians have to either go to Texas or New York to vote. But
I think most of them are just not going to.
Or they're really,
I
really
think you're right.
So what does 82% mean, Kevin?
That means that 82% of people who could vote voted. So
already?
When you
Wow.
Yeah. So I do have messages that I got from Jay Tulip, one of my supporters, who from all over Europe. They've still got lines and lines of people waiting hours to vote over there. So I don't know if they'll hold the polls open past 8 p.m. in Europe or not, but Australia, they had long lines. So, all kinds of stuff. However, preliminary results have been released. Putin has 87% of the votes. Haritonov. Yeah.
Haritonov. I play American football with a guy with the same last name, so I've heard it many times. Sorry.
Yeah. He had 4.6%. Ivanikov 4.2%, and Slutsky 3%.
Oh, interesting. Ooh, LDPR slipping. Wow. Okay. All right.
So, Kevin,
that's according to the exit polls.
Does that mean it's
What's
over, or does that mean that's what it is so far based on what they've counted and guessed at counting?
That's so far of what they've counted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can pretty much say it's over.
Well, yeah, there's not enough votes left uncounted to sway that gigantic of a margin, especially because, like Kevin was just saying, they're all like Russians who live abroad, so their numbers aren't titanic enough to sway that big of a boat,
Right. But Kevin, you and I have to go for another 58 minutes at least. So why did you tell everyone it's over?
Well, I said it's basically over.
Well, I don't know if someone pulls up with like a few the semi trucks worth of fake ballots somewhere, maybe something could happen, but I don't know.
Well, I do have one question. Maybe Rick knows, because 82% of the population voting, that sounds really high to me. How does that compare to other countries like, let's say, America or Canada?
That's much higher. So I know here in Canada, we only get about 40% of the people who are eligible to vote who actually turn out. Of course, people love to complain after the fact, even when they haven't taken the time to go cast a ballot. But that's what we have in terms of real voter participation here. So it's an issue. I'm not sure how you motivate people to get out there, and you can wonder why. I guess some people maybe are just frustrated with the system. They've lost faith or confidence in it, perhaps. They feel like their vote doesn't count. Or maybe some people are just complacent on the other side. Maybe they're doing well and they don't think they need to participate. They figure the people that they outsource their responsibility to will just take care of them. I'm really not sure. I've not seen real good studies on or surveys to determine why people don't vote. I just know that's where the participation rate is. But at 82%, Kevin, you said that is of people eligible to vote. So what percentage of the overall adult population would that comprise? Because eligible to vote means something, right? It's
eligible to vote means any Russian citizen except those who are incarcerated and already convicted. So I've got a video from provided to me from Caleb Maupin, and let's see what he has to say about this. And
bad
we'll
first
fire
frame.
him.
Or Caleb.
Yeah, well, hey.
I'm from the United States. My name is Caleb Maupin. When I learn the details of how the voting is carried out in Russia, I'm astonished by how much more of an effort the Russian government makes to encourage participation. Here in Russia, your elections are a national holiday. In the United States, voting is on a Tuesday, and there are big lines before work and big lines in the evening because they don't have a national work holiday for people to vote. I also found out that here in Russia, you have voting stations in the prisons for people that are convicted of crimes. In many U.S. states, if you
and that
are
was
convicted of
actually
crime,
incorrect.
you can never vote for the rest of your life. But here, you have special effort to include prisoners in the voting. In addition to that, you have voting places, polling places in the hospitals to encourage, so that people that are receiving medical care can vote. We don't have such things in the United States. So I see an effort to include people. I know that every region of Russia participates in these elections. In the United States, Guam, Puerto Rico, the American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, all the U.S. territories that don't have full statehood, the thousands and thousands of people who live there have no say in who our president is. So what I see here is a much more inclusive election than we have in the United States. In the United States, we also have the Electoral College, where we don't directly vote for the president, but our state casts votes, right? And so if you're a Trump supporter, where I come from in New York, your vote doesn't count because the state is overwhelmingly Democratic, and the state votes will go to Biden. If you're a liberal voter in Texas, which is a Republican stronghold, your vote doesn't count because Texas will cast its vote for conservatives, for Trump. And here you have a system where every person's vote goes to determine the presidency. It's much more representative of public opinion in that sense. But I'm anxious to learn more about it. I don't know all the details of the Russian voting system. But what I'm seeing here, and the fact that international observers have been brought to observe it, and the fact that there are monitors from opposition parties that are allowed to observe, and the fact that it's not just two parties, but many different parties that are participating in the elections: United Russia, the Communist Party, the Liberal Democratic Party, other parties that are taken seriously and allowed to be part of the process. What I'm seeing here is an election system that is making a much bigger effort to reflect popular will than what we have in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you also forgot to mention that if the president or in the presidential election, if the winner doesn't have over 50% of the vote, it goes to like a second round battle between the first and second place. So you don't have to do strategic voting. You can kind of just vote for whoever and not worry about it. So that's another major advantage.
Correct. Now, the only thing he got wrong there was people who have been convicted and are in prison cannot vote until they've served their sentence, and then they're eligible to vote again. However, they did set up polling stations where people are being held pre-trial, and basically people who are being held but haven't been convicted.
Interesting. Well, one thing I wanted to say, guys, and then we got to get to Daniel and these other special guests that have come on, even the guy with the vertical camera, is, I've heard my whole life, like, get out the vote, get out the vote. We got to convince people to vote. And especially when I was a young person, I'm looking around at the other young people that I know, and I'm thinking to myself, why do I want to convince these people to vote? I mean, if they don't want to vote, and I see, their attitude about life, why do we care? Do I want someone to vote who's not really thinking about it and being smart about it? Does that make sense? I mean, I think it's great that Russia has over 80% of eligible people voting, because it was on their heart and they feel like they should and they want to. But if you have a culture where the people don't want to vote, why do I want to convince these people that haven't paid attention for 4 years, let's say, to now suddenly go vote? Does that make sense? Am I wrong?
Yeah. And another interesting thing is, if you're a Russian citizen and you're over 18, you're already registered to vote. You're in the government services as a registered voter. You don't have to go out and sign a form saying, I want to be able to vote.
Well,
So
yeah,
that
that's
is
one thing that
literally
was
Yeah.
pretty crazy. Is generally Russian bureaucracy destroys my life. However, this time, all I did is I went to the polling station near where I registered where I live, which is unfortunately not where I live. But anyways, I went there and I just gave my passport. And I was like, look, here's where I'm. They're like, don't worry about it. All they did is they just sort of took it, they put it on a scanner, and it was, here's your ballot. Everything was in perfect order. So it was a very easy process. There wasn't this weird thing about first having to register and then wait for that. Before the war started, it was still possible to vote in American elections from Russia. It was always very questionable. The process was not so fun.
Wow. Okay, well, guys, we have a lot of wonderful people on the screen that you can see, and I want to get to all of them and just kind of make this meaningful. So, Daniel, you were the first one up. So you are a military guy from America living in Russia, I believe. Tell us briefly who you are and how your voting experience went today.
Hello, guys. Yeah, my name is Daniel Bosworth. I am from Long Island, New York. I have currently been living in Moscow for 12 years. And yeah, voting yesterday for me was very special, very emotional, because my wife is Russian. We met in upstate New York. We lived in America together for a long time. But living in Russia for such a long time with visas, and then my temporary residency, then my permanent residency, I'm living here, and my children are Russian, my wife, and I feel like I'm home. I feel that I am Russian, but without the citizenship, I always just felt like I was an immigrant, so getting my citizenship and being able to vote yesterday has made me feel complete. Really, I'm like so very, very happy. So very happy.
Wow.
But the experience
for you?
I have always voted, even in America. And I never voted. I always voted, my family, we always voted for who we thought would be best for the country. We weren't a Democrat or a Republican. My immediate family, we always voted for who we thought was honest and would do good for the country. So I believe as a citizen, it's our duty to vote. And yeah, yesterday was a great experience for me. And I voted with my wife, my sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law.
Oh, wow. That's great, man. That's
Yeah.
really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with someone who just became a citizen, and we had a little party, and he was a bit emotional about it. And he was like, wow, this is my country now. And I had not yet thought of it in those terms, because I'm still just a resident. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, I'll become a citizen one day. But I saw through his eyes his emotion and his feeling for it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that makes sense, and it for the first time I started thinking about it for myself, so it's great to hear
Joseph,
your story, Daniel. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you and Daniel. We'll talk to Daniel a little more in a minute, but Stan only has 5 minutes and he's got to pop off.
Yeah. I was going to jump onto him now. So Stan, who are you, man? You were born in the Soviet Union, maybe, and then you spent your younger years in Canada, and now you're back here as an old man. Is that right?
I'm not an old man yet, but I'll be one soon. I'm going to hit 40 in a couple of years. Yeah, listen, I didn't want to jump the line, but you were asking me to come on, and I was first building the closet, and then I had a whole bunch of stuff to do, and now I've been given a couple of minutes to talk before I got to go do other things. Anyways, yeah, you're right. I was born in the USSR because I was born when it was still there. Then afterwards moved around Europe, Canada, US, and I voted as well, and it was extremely uneventful. In fact, I dressed up because I felt like it. I had a nice half suit, whatever you want to call it, very official yet unofficial. I walked in. The police, they were fine. One cop was looking at me, and I felt like he recognized me because he was looking at me all weird. But anyway, so I walk in, and there's a whole bunch of ladies, and everyone's smiling like they were a couple of years ago. And I'm just like, hey, I have no idea which one I'm going to talk to here. Just, I'll randomly pick one. Don't be offended. They checked my passport. They gave me the form. I filled it in, dropped it, and then left. It was extremely uneventful. Just to make this something more interesting, I'm going to quickly compare it to when I voted twice when I was in Canada. And I voted once when I was in Ontario, and, it was in a school, and the boxes were small. They were about this big. They weren't transparent. They looked like cardboard boxes for like a school box, like a packed lunch, something like that. I don't remember there being any kind of, there were a lot of people, but it wasn't like a big transparent box and lots of cameras everywhere, lots of people viewing. Quebec was even worse. Quebec, I was just basically put in this one tiny room with two people. And again, one of those small little cardboard boxes that is not transparent. And I put my vote in, and that's it. What happened afterwards, I have no idea. I don't remember seeing any cameras. I don't remember seeing anything like that. But yeah, it was uneventful. So now I'm in Russia. I'm living here, and I have my own YouTube channel, just like most of us here, and that's it. And I have nothing else interesting to say because it was so uneventful when I voted. It was so smooth and so,
Stan, I have a question. Do you have citizenship in another country?
In another country, yeah.
Yeah, Canada or
Yeah.
U.S.?
That's why I was allowed to vote there. Yeah.
Oh, right. Dual citizen. Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Is this your first time voting in Russia, Stan?
No, it's my. There's something up with my mic.
Well, you still sound handsome.
Can I jump in real quick while Stan is fixing his microphone?
Yeah, go ahead, because I can't hear. We can't hear you at all, Stan.
Can't hear you, Stan.
On behalf of
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you now.
I apologize, Nata. So no, I voted previously, a couple of what? It was 2 years ago we were voting, I believe, something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
I just got here 2 years ago.
all right. Listen, I apologize. I didn't mean to skip line, but that's it. I gotta go. I got other things to attend to. So
Thanks,
have
man.
a wonderful.
You want to tell us your channel name?
One second. Stan,
Stan?
on behalf of all Russians and all international communities, thank you so much for everything you've been doing these 2 years. Because your input into international understanding, it's been invaluable. So thank you so much, and all the luck to your work and everything. So thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Stop making me blush.
Thank you, Bina.
No,
I don't take compliments too well.
So, thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you very much.
Stan, thanks
All
for
right.
coming.
Thanks, Stan. I'll put your channel in the description.
Yeah, you don't have to. I've only been here for 5 minutes, but it's up to you. Thank you anyway.
You deserve it, man.
Ciao, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.
See ya.
So I do want to let those in the audience know that as Joseph and I catch questions, we will get around to them sometime during the stream.
I hope so. I'm here for the subscribers. And we are at over 500 in the live, which I did not imagine, which means it might be a late night for you and I, Kevin.
Guys, I'm going to have to
could
leave
be.
soon, too.
Daniel, do you have any parting words of inspiration for us?
Yeah, just, well, I'm blessed, so very blessed to be living in Russia, raising my children. I don't know, just a very emotional weekend for me, really. I'm a Russian citizen, and voting, and I'm home. Like I feel like, I'm born in America. I was raised in America. I left when I was 18 to live in Germany for 3 years, and when I lived in Germany, I'm like, you know what? I feel different, So a part of me knew that someday I'm going to probably end up not living in America. And I met my Russian wife, and I'm here now. So I don't know. I wish everyone happiness and health and prosperity, and that's all I have.
Thanks so much,
Daniel,
Daniel, for coming on.
we're happy to have +1 amazing man in Russia. So congratulations.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy this weekend. It's a wonderful, wonderful weekend for me. I feel like, I feel complete, living here for so many years, and I'm like, I'm home, but I'm an immigrant. I have residency or a visa, but now I have my citizenship. So life is great. Two.
Too. You have a great heart, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
man.
See you later, man. See you.
Yeah. Yep, Tim, Kevin, everyone, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Well,
nice to
Have
meet
a
you.
good one.
Yep, bye-bye.
Well, since you've been speaking already, Natasha, why don't you go? So who
Hello,
are you?
everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Natalia. I'm from BRICS Journalist Association and also BRICS Leaders United. I think I might have pretty unique experience because I've just got back from Belgorod. And Joseph, I wrote a note that we should not discuss certain things here, so we should be, like creative with our phrasing.
If you can.
We've been here doing some. We have these projects. Discovering BRICS without stereotypes. So we invite journalists, and they let them see Russia for themselves and show true Russia to their audiences. And we had one of our journalists was a guy from Brazil, and we've been doing different things here in Moscow, but then we saw that situation in Belgrade was escalating before the elections. So we decided that we should go, and see for ourselves what's going on. And I can say that both me and this Lucas, our journalist from Brazil, we both have this experience. We've been to Donbass, and I gotta say, one day in Belgrade was had more activities than 1 week in Donbass. Pretty close to the main action, So. I can say that I think we might say that we are survivors of some situation, because we have this experience that we were filming in one place, cultural place, just showing how Belgrade is an amazing city, full of culture, peaceful and all. But then half an hour later, there was a present from Ukrainian side, and it hit maybe like 20 meters from where we were filming. And we found out about this because after filming, we went to have breakfast, and there was yet another fireworks, really loud fireworks, again, even more more intensive than in Donbass. And so we decided to go there and make a coverage. And while we were approaching the place, I was like, wait a minute, I recognize the place, like the road. And then we understood that it was just the same spot. And, these presents are the ones that are filled with metal things inside. So once they, meet the ground, it's far more celebration than just in one place. Then people maybe 100 meters around it can be get some present. Let's be creative again. So if we stayed there, if we did not go for breakfast, then maybe I wouldn't be sitting here. But what was interesting that we talked to many local people, and we were asking why do you think this is happening? Is it because of the elections? And they said yes, most probably it is. But the thing is that this has been the reality of Belgrade for these 2 years, because before every major holiday, like civil holiday or church holiday, they would start receiving those presents. presence. And we were asking, like, are there any, maybe military facilities or something, like some kind of explanation why this would be happening. But they say, but no, it's like we are a peaceful city. We are not a part of this whole thing that's going on. So yeah, it's just, I would not say this this word here, but you can understand though. This is,
Yes.
why they are doing this. So, but Belgrade people, they showed true Russian spirit, and they said that we're gonna go and vote no matter what. Like the elections will take place, and we will go and vote because this is very important. And what I heard, like I was asking, maybe you guys are a little bit, irritated. Maybe you think, the president could have, did something better maybe, but they say no, like we understand the situation and this is our kind of destiny, and we will stay here, stay in Belgrade, we will stay strong, and we will vote. So today I went voting, and I was dressed in my gel Снегурочка outfit with kokoshnik, and everyone in the election office, they were like smiling. Even the policeman even took photo with me, and so they asked me like why. Maybe I was celebrating Maslenitsa, this Blini festival, the one you have a lot of amazing videos on your channel, Joseph. So anyone who haven't seen it yet, go check shorts and videos.
You gotta see it.
Yeah. So I said, no, it's just, elections. So happy holiday. I really feel like it is a holiday, a celebration. I gotta be honest, there is one and only, for me at least, it's been like for more than 23 years, it's been one and only person who I fully trust, to be in charge of our country. And I was so happy to go and execute my right to vote for him. We're not mentioning the name, right? So it's okay to say like this. And it was really like a gift, I would say, because he's already not that young, and I did not know if I will ever have this opportunity to vote for him again. And I'm so excited that I had this chance. And yeah, so it does feels like holiday. Again, this is a 10 years anniversary of Crimea being back home. So tomorrow there is a huge celebration on Red Square. So maybe Joseph, you will be interested to go and see for yourself, maybe make a video. So it does feels kind of festive in the center, like music and all. So I'm really happy.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. It's definitely moving and sad and inspiring all at the same time, because living here, we see it on the news, what's going on. I don't know if the West sees it, but we do. So I'm glad that you shared it.
Stay safe out there, okay? God bless.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Things are pretty rough in Belgrade the last 2 years. I actually know a couple people from there, so yeah, it's a real brutal situation that people have to, at the very least, be terrified, and at the very most, be killed for the sake of a PR campaign. So,
wow, so sad, so sad.
But can I bring some example? It's not
Please.
About election, but Belgrade thing. On our way back, we took the train, and there were lots of kids, and we talked to two kids. One was like 7 years old, and his birthday happens to be December 30th. So maybe again, being creative with our phrasing, but there was some special present on this day last year, and many kids unfortunately left us. And this little boy, he was just, he was celebrating his birthday this day, and some of his friends, passed this day, and he was telling us about this experience, and we were just, shocked to hear this. But at the same time, his elder sister, she is 12 years old, and she told us that because we tried to talk to them, without camera, just interesting to talk. And she said that there are a lot of people from Ukraine. Some of them moved to Belgorod area after 2014. Some of them left 2 years ago, and she told us a story that she has in their class. They have a Ukrainian guy, and there was another guy, Russian guy, who was teasing him, like saying, "Oh, you're Ukrainian." But the whole class stood, they defended this Ukrainian boy, and they said, "No, you should not, should not say something like this." But that Russian guy continued teasing him, and at some point, the girl said that the whole class kind of, in Russian we say "устроить темную." So they kind of like kicked his ass and asked him, like, "You never dare to, to say bad words to this boy because he's Ukrainian." So it was really, amazing to hear that even kids, being, these 2 years being under attack, they still, they do not let. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. Sorry, they don't let this. So they still defend an Ukrainian boy, and they understand that Russians and Ukrainians are one big family, and it's not about people. It's just some not really wise men on that side, on the Ukrainian side, and that it has nothing to do with just Ukrainians. We still love Ukrainians, and we still believe that we are one big family, and we are really waiting for the moment when we are all reunited. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your heart, Natasha. I really appreciate you coming on and telling us that story and telling us how voting went for you. And we'll do some more work together soon, hopefully. And if you guys want to see her now with Tim and myself, the three of us did a show recently called Russian Sympathizers, which, if you're interested in this video that you're watching live right now, you'll like that as well. It's a similar topic. Thank you so much, Natasha.
Have a good evening.
Got it.
So,
Kevin, do we have an update on anything?
Well, speaking of those regions that Natasha was just talking about, we have a 93-year-old veteran in Kherson that was voting here. This is not her.
I was going to say, wow, she looks great.
She's a veteran of the Great Patriotic War.
Wow. Wow.
За Россию, за счастье людей, за единую Россию нашу, чтобы наша Херсонщина знов зажила счастливо, як бывало раньше еще в наши годы в Советском Союзе. Хватит ползать и ходить протянуть.
Turn the volume down just a little bit, but basically they asked her what she voted for, and she said for Russia, for the happiness of people and for our native Kherson region to live happily again as it was before and during the years of the Soviet Union. I am sure we will live well with Russia and victory will be ours.
Wow. Wow. It's moving to see.
So, despite what some of our trolls in the chat had to say, people were not forced to vote under gunpoint. Yeah. So they were not forced to vote at gunpoint.
No.
Yeah. I eat trolls, so I like them. So some of the things we did have. This was actually in St. Petersburg, people dump and die in. Actually, these ballots are readable after this brilliant green is put on them. That is an antiseptic, and it actually can be wiped off, and the black ink underneath is readable by the scanners because of the properties of the ink that it's printed with. but they do have to be manually calculated.
Well, yeah, because it's amazing they sort of had that in mind when making the ballots, because that stuff Zelonka has been used as a classic sort of way to torture people in a nonviolent way, because it stains your skin really strongly, and if you like throw it at someone, they'll have the mark for like a week.
Oh wow, very interesting.
Yeah, it really sticks in your skin for a long time, and it's hard to wash out. You kind of have to like wait for the skin to die to an extent.
Huh.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
I think there was also some attack on some of the Russian representatives in 2022 in the Baltics, maybe, when they were representative of Russian embassy were on May 9th. They would go and commemorate the soldiers and everyone who fought in the war for our peace. And there was some activists who would throw Zelonka in their face. I think Baltics or maybe Germany or 2020.
And also maybe meme of the year in terms of the elections was someone tried to throw a Molotov cocktail, but you chose to use a plastic bottle. And as you understand, plastic bottles don't crack and explode when thrown hard. So that's a true Russian meme for all eternity.
And Kevin, did
so
you
for
have
the younger
some
people? It has to break. It has to be glass. So you got the flammable liquid, and then you got the burning rag, and it hits, and boom. If it's plastic, it's not going to boom.
And Kevin, did you have some information or details on cyber attacks and drone attacks that have occurred?
Yeah, actually, I sent some information to Rick earlier today for his show tonight, but we had last night 35 drones were taken down by air defense over different regions of Russia, including Moscow. 17 were intercepted over the Krasnodar territory. So, going for the oil refineries. And we had 12,600 impacts on the internet and 4 DDoS attacks on the Central Election Committee website. Voter turnout in the elections, that was much earlier today, 61%. That's when it started out today. 1,115 international observers from 129 countries. The gas election system, the CEC says it is protected and not accessible to attacks from the outside. And I may have a picture of one of these somewhere. Not all the regions are using them right now. And so what it is they have a scanner on the top of them. And when these people are trying to put this brilliant green or ink into them, the scanner actually prevents it from going down into the ballot box. And these are the newest technology that's been implemented in Crimea, many other regions. And when they put their ballot in upside down, it actually scans it and automatically tallies it at the CEC. So that's why they can get a lot of this stuff in so quickly now.
Do you know when you say that the system is not accessible to these cyber attacks, is that because the system is not connected to the wider internet? Is it secure that way, or do you know?
I have no idea.
If it's not accessible, it would have to be on some sort of different like wavelength or protocol or whatever.
Yeah, on its own
Private
intranet system, right? So that it's a closed system, not connected to the internet.
Good evening, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say. My name is Professor Novikov. I thought I'd go ahead and butt in. Today was my very first day voting, as a matter of fact. Those of you that don't know, I grew up in the United States, but I pretty much lived in the U.S. all my life since I was a little boy, primarily living in California, Idaho, and Washington State. I've been educated for about 12 years. I've been living here about 10 since 2014. It's been quite an adventure. Well, what was my experience like? Well, I walked in there and the lady said, you didn't have to register. I did the whole thing on Gasa Slogi, which is a really nice, nifty little app, and it's really handy. and you can pretty much find just about anything on there, right? They have a nice little I think you can make a request like register me to vote. And so I went through the whole process, but I didn't have to because it was linked to my my registration or whatever, right? So I don't have to do any of that. So I had no idea. So you know, I guess I took an extra step by doing all that. And you know, I want to get to that. That's the thing. We have a much simpler process compared to the American system. It's so confusing. You got to register to vote. You got to do this and that, and there's a bunch of stuff you got to go through. Another big advantage over here, like the whole campaigning period. American presidents, even if they really want to have a chance at re-election, they have to go do a whole bunch of campaigning. Well, guess what? They're not running the country now, are they? Well, they're doing that whole thing that they're not doing much running. And that's just a huge disadvantage. Not only that, but we don't have an electoral college. We have an actual true democracy. The whole electoral college thing, it's just bizarre. You get into situations, and they've happened plenty of times, in which the president gets selected not by the majority, but based on some weird, bizarre, arbitrary number system. Now you can argue in favor of this electoral college system, small states, blah 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 blah. But is that really a democracy? No. It sounds completely nonsensical. You don't even get to choose your own president. You have to vote for an electoral individual representative that then chooses the president. What kind of democracy is that? We have something called a direct popular vote system. Okay. And here's another thing. Did you guys know about this? Strict campaign finance rules. That's a thing in Russia. Okay. Guess what? That tends to cut back corruption. That tends to fight corruption. We have strict limits as far as campaign financing type stuff. So you know that the candidates, you know, they're not going to be beholden to some special interests. And about that, by the way, special interests and lobbyists in America, they're a real problem right about now, especially the military-industrial complex and all that. Why do you think all this stuff is going on? I know that we're not really going to go into that too much, but you know, the military-industrial complex pretty much owns these people in America. You know what I mean? And about that, the other thing, what sorts of candidates tend to run? You look at Congress in America, it's a whole bunch of lawyers. You know what I mean? A bunch of rich lawyers. Did you know that some Russian congressmen volunteered to go fight? When was the last time that happened in America? Okay, they really put their money where their mouth is. They said, "Hey, you know what? I love this country, and I'm gonna put myself on the line for it." We literally had Russian congressmen volunteer to fight. Okay, they sign up for military service. How often does that happen? You know what I mean? And here's the other thing: the kinds of people that get elected aren't a bunch of lawyers. You know, a bunch of sneaky, sleazy, professional lawyers. They tend to be these guys that went to specialized academies that train the next leaders. They are specialized academies that essentially churn out professionals who can administer and run the country. Now, you guys have seen the interview, right? You guys all watched the interview, didn't you? Tucker Carlson. He went to Moscow. He was like, "Wow, look how clean everything is. Look how well everything's managed. The transportation infrastructure." Well, there's a reason for that. Okay, we don't just elect a whole bunch of randoms. These guys are the cream of the crop. They have to go through a strict process. They go to specialized academies to even qualify to be an official over here. Okay, it's a complete different system. You guys have no idea what it's like. I've been in this country for about 10 years, and guess what? We're doing something right over here. I think Russia has essentially, well, I'm going to put it like this. Although America sort of kind of got the ball rolling with democracy, Russia is the one that perfected it with its unique flavor of democracy. And this is real democracy, direct democracy. You know what I mean? That's why, you guys watched my other video where I said, this isn't just the Russian Federation, all right? Because we've got like 200 different ethnicities over here. And what the lady was talking about, right? The Ukrainian a gentleman having a hard time, and then everybody was like, hey, don't be mistreating the Ukrainian kid. He's our brother, right? And that's the thing, right? We all live together. We all get along. We got like 200 ethnicities. We should this isn't just the Russian Federation. It is the United Federation of Peoples. Not to quote Star Trek or anything like that, but and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why things work. We have a lot better political stability because of the presidential electoral system. It's designed to do that. It's designed to do that. And another thing I didn't even mention, the fact that in the United States they have this weird lame duck type of thing. Well, in Russia, there's not much of a power vacuum or a lame duck period. The transition of power process is actually more streamlined. It actually makes more sense. You know, America could take a few notes from the way that we do things in Russia.
Well, yeah, and like what you said about people kind of have a sense that things or there's a good thing going on here, is it kind of mirrors what the famous Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin said about the elections, that this is essentially a referendum. If things are working, they vote for a certain candidate. If someone believes things aren't working, they vote for someone else. And that's kind of what the results we're going to get. And as you can see, something seems to be working in Russia based on the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I went off on a little bit tangent over here as far as how we get along and how well things work and how smooth the transition is as far as greater political stability. But, you know, I just gave you several points of the advantages of the Russian electoral system. It's just better. It's just better. And guess what? We don't have a gerrymandering. And what is that exactly? These politicians, they essentially carve out little pieces of territory, right, throughout the states. And they say, okay, since we can't really compete with you over here, we're going to let you have this slice, and we're going to make this district like this. Well, we have this district. Guess what? This keeps the same people in power. What I think they don't get reelected. So they don't really care about how well they do their job because they know they're going to get reelected by the same constituents because they have essentially carved out their own little monopoly. It's a stupid system. Why would Russia take notes from America? It can take notes and learn what not to do. Simple as that. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, thank you, Professor Novico, for coming on and telling us how things went. I had to take my little break, so I'm not sure what you said. Did you tell us how voting went for you?
For me?
Yeah.
It went pretty well. Like I said, I walked in there and she checked and stuff. And, you know, turned out I didn't even have to register. I didn't have to do the whole thing because it was linked to my registration. And I went up to the desk, signed a little thing. And then they gave me like a slip and stuff. And, you know, I had the option of going behind the thing with the curtain. I was like, I don't need that. Just give me your pen. I know what I'm voting for. There you go. And then I went to the little box and they had like a see-through box, a giant see-through box, you know, to make the process more transparent and stuff. And I don't know, maybe I'm not sure why else it would be see-through, but yeah, they have these giant see-through boxes. It's kind of cool when you kind of slide the piece of paper in there and you walk out and there's a cool little babushka, you know, at a table, and she hands you a little delicious pancake with some stuff in it and stuff. You get a free pancake.
No way.
Yeah, and it's really, you know, it's really festive. There's balloons and stuff, and you know, everybody's all friendly. You know, it's pretty nice. You know,
I feel gypped. I didn't get either a pancake or balloons.
Huh?
Oh, sorry. What's that, Tim?
I was saying I didn't get either a pancake or balloons. I'm offended, and offended. I'm gonna have to leave, guys. So it was.
No, don't start crying, Tim. Don't start crying.
Yeah, I'll have to keep the tears at bay.
We're gonna sing a lullaby.
See you all later.
Somebody sent me a picture yesterday, and one of the local bakeries donated goodies to the polling station, and they had tables and tables of stuff. Now, I voted remotely, so you know I got to go down to the fridge and eat whatever I wanted. But
so, Professor, you live in a historic city in Russia, right? You are not just
That's
in
right.
Moscow or
I
Crimea.
moved from Moscow. I moved to a little small town called Rostov the Great, and there's a little community of American Orthodox immigrants over here. They've already gotten the citizenship. They've learned the language. They speak Russian better than I do, and I'm actually technically ethnically Russian, which is crazy, right? It's really amazing. So you know, a lot of like American Orthodox folks want to immigrate over here and want to become Russians, and you know what? More power to them. I bring them on over. I'm trying to help as many people as I can. Know what I mean? So I do a little bit of volunteer work here and there. And it's pretty cool, man. Check out my channel. Like I show you guys a difference between a little 2-bedroom apartment over here in small town Russia, and I used to have like a little penthouse up in Moscow that I rented and stuff. And I show you guys just how cost effective things are. And I also made like a little video showing how you guys can like literally literally live off of dividends in this country if you wanted to. Like you can retire in 10 years because the stocks are so cheap in this country. And the dividend yields are insane. They're through the moon, man. They're like double-digit dividends, best price to earnings ratios on the planet among stocks out of any market. And this market's closed. It's only available to us. Like nobody else can get in right now. You know what I mean? And you know, if people don't take advantage of this right now, it's like the golden age. It's like, what are they thinking? Why are they missing such a good opportunity? It's awesome. But anyway, let's not digress too much. The cost of living, you know, in small town Russia is pretty cool, and it's pretty nice here. I like it. It's great. The community is wonderful. You should see our neighbors. Our neighbors are real friendly. When my son was born, one of my neighbors gifted us like a fur coat or something. Is that a thing? Gifting people fur coats when a baby boy is born? So that was kind of cool. Everybody's really friendly, and it's awesome. I really like it here. So you know, when it comes to Russia, Moscow and St. Pete's aren't. Those aren't the only cities in Russia. There are a lot of really wonderful, tiny little communities over here with really nice people, and it's just fantastic.
I'm glad you said that. You're breaking the myth that Moscow is the only beautiful place. And before you got to go, tell us your channel name.
Yeah, it's a small town Americanized Russian boy, or at small town Americanized Russian without the boy. Yeah,
fantastic.
You can see me in chat over here. So
yeah, I think that Joseph Gleason and I did a couple videos in your city.
Oh yeah. That's my priest. Yeah, you know, I think this is probably the only Orthodox parish that does services both in English and Russian at the same time. I think it's the only one like that in Russia, as far as I know. I could be mistaken though. You got to excuse my appearance though. I had arm day and leg day at the gym, so I just got back from the gym. I guess this doesn't really go well with the green screen, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
that's
all right.
Whatever, that's fine.
All right.
Well, guys, look him up, and you can also check out me in his city with Gleason. He's a famous Orthodox priest from America. I believe the name of the video is Russian Orthodoxy is What? Okay, so we have one more guest I see that hasn't gotten to speak at all yet, and I feel
you guys have a good one now. God bless. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, man. So Kevin, what are you showing us now?
Hi, everyone.
This is actually what they were doling out in Yaroslav.
Wow. So that's near to where our last speaker lives.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Pirashki.
Yeah, lucky them. I think we'll all move there.
What are we looking at? What is that?
It looks like you're looking at Pirajak. Lots of Pirajak.
Pirashki.
Pirashki?
Well, okay. Multiple Pirashki. One is a Pirajak. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so those are bread products stuffed with different things, right, guys?
It's something like American pie, I think. Something similar to that.
Oh, okay. So before you speak, Natalia, Kevin, do we have any updates on the election?
Last time you asked me that and I answered, you got on me because, what would we have to talk about?
Well,
yeah,
I'm
numbers out,
and I've changed my mind. Now tell us what's up.
Putin 88%.
Sorry.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Very good. And I assume the voter turnout is still 82%.
I don't know because the site went offline at 8 p.m.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So 82% of the people that could vote voted. That would be adults, right? Including women, because Russia is a modern place. In case you don't know, Westerners that are listening right now and wondering what Russia's really like. And now we have Natalia. Tell us your name and who you are. You are, I believe, a Russian, but not in Russia. So you are our voter who is outside the country, to give us that perspective.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shaheen Atalla. Actually, yes, you're right. I'm Russian, but living now in Abu Dhabi, working in Abu Dhabi. Actually, I'm Russian Lebanese, if you want. My mother Russian, my father Lebanese. So now I'm working here in Abu Dhabi. And as our colleagues here were speaking, that, yeah, the process was very smooth. I came early morning, maybe like around 9 a.m. There was a small queue. So I waited maybe like 10, 15 minutes. Then they scanned our stuff, like whatever mobile you have, watch, anything. They gave us like a key, so you can put it in a locker. Then we came inside, like every 2-3 people, they were going inside the embassy, and they asked us, like, do you know how to vote? Like, because they gave a paper on which the candidates were written. So I told them yes, because I'm actually maybe like, I think it's my 3rd time I'm voting abroad.
Wow.
Yeah. Last time,
Okay.
I think it was 2018, and once in 2014. Yeah. So it was very smooth process. Nothing there to mention. It was very good, actually.
Well, for you, it's nothing, but it's an important story because there's a lot of people who speak English watching this from around the world. They're wondering, is Russia fair? How does it work? Could you vote if you weren't even in the country? And you're saying
yes,
that
yes, you can. Even I'll tell you one more thing. There is a Telegram channel. I think in each country it is, because here I see this Telegram channel was called, I think, Embassy of Russia in UAE. And they sent like a broadcast message, like there will be voting in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai on this date, which was 17 March. I can share that. I think I shared it before. So actually, they told that there will be elections if you are abroad. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And could you have voted online, or do you have to go somewhere?
No, you need to go to the embassy, and you need to be physical there, and you have to have either your passport, which is Russian passport, the international passport, because in Russia you have 2 kinds of passports, one which is inside Russia you are using, and one which is for abroad, like international passport, we are calling it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know, because an American wouldn't know that. In America, you don't have a passport unless one day you decide you want to travel outside the country. So
really,
the equivalent would be, in America, you have a social security card, and then if you decide to travel, you have an international passport. But in Russia, instead of a social security card, you've got a local passport.
Yeah, they are calling it внутренний passport, which is for inside Russia, and the заграничный passport for international one, so that you can travel abroad.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
we
it,
actually
basically.
do have like a social security number.
What's that, Kevin?
We actually do have like a social security number, an INN.
Oh, we have that too in Russia.
Or is it the SNILS? I
don't know.
get the two confused.
SNILS is for the pension. SNILS is for your pension, like when you are old, and INN is for tax number.
Yeah. See, and in the United States, the social security card is for both.
Interesting.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. So, guys, he's just a subscriber that wanted to share his story. So we appreciate hearing from you and giving us a perspective from outside of Russia.
So that's my story. I will have to go also, and we will
Thanks,
see who
buddy.
will win.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Have a good night, all, because I have like now almost 11:30 p.m.
You got it, man.
So, yeah. Nice to meet you all, and
thanks, buddy.
We'll keep in touch. Yeah.
Of course.
So,
bye-bye.
So Sergey wants to know why nobody's mentioned the online voting. So I will mention the online voting. I actually discussed this with Rick the other night, and I probably should have clipped it out of his video so I didn't have to remember everything I did again. But this was available in 29 regions, technically 28 regions and Moscow. So you go onto the Gosislugi site, which is the state services site, where they tie all our numbers and passports and other information together. And it's actually a pretty simple process, and it's secure. Gosislugi, the state services site, I said I want to vote because I'd pre-registered. It takes me out to the registration site, and I click that first button, and that says, yep, I want to vote right now. It makes me re-identify myself through the state services site again. So I had to log in and get a code from the Authenticator app. This is just a guarantee that you are who you are when you're voting. And this is telling me I have one ballot available to me. I can vote once. You have to read all the instructions, agreeing to what will invalidate it, and things like that.
Mhm.
And again, they're going to send me an SMS to verify it's me. And here's the official voting location. And it says, okay, you're ready to vote. Click on the button. And here's the ballot. So it's saying check one box. But before you can check any of these boxes, you have to go all the way down to the bottom so that you've read all the candidates and the information, where they were born and stuff. I didn't let anyone see who I voted for, but I clicked the box, checked okay, and it comes out and it says you voted. So to verify that I couldn't do it twice, I went into the system a second time here. And I said, I want to vote. And it says, you already cast your ballot. Sorry, Jack. So that was how long it took me to vote remotely. My daughter, because she is registered in Crimea, actually voted from where she is in the United States using the same app. So it is very secure. Rick, to answer your question, I did look at the election system machines. They are not connected to the internet. They are using RF technology, and which was what I was supposing they probably used, because a majority of the ATM machines here that are not installed in a bank use the same technology. So you see the little antennas on them, and they've got about 20 layers of security on it. I'll send you a link to that later.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
very good information, Kevin.
I can say that my parents, they voted online because for them it's just easier. I chose to go physically, just to enjoy the moment, and they've done everything they could to make sure that everyone can execute their right to vote, because there was early pre-election started, I think 25th of February. Then, for example, you can vote only where you are, like propiska, like where you're registered, and if in case you are not physically there on the day of voting, you could have given like a paper until March 11th saying that I will be in this place, and then they will reassign you to another place. Make sure again that you can vote. And again, about this international voting, I've seen many videos these days in many countries. Russians that are abroad now, they all had the chance to go and vote, and there were actually huge queues of Russians who wanted to vote. So doesn't even, for example, in Israel, right? So they didn't really care maybe what those Russians opinion might be. They gave everyone the fair chance to go and vote for their president.
Wow. Yeah, I saw a news story that apparently in New York City, it was like a huge line, a huge queue for voting. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I, we went today because she's a citizen of Russia. So we went with her with the two little kids, and we wanted to see what the experience would be like, because this is her first time since she was living in America, because we've been back for 2 years. And we filmed a little bit of it that we might put together. And it was cool because you go to a public school, and there's good security there. And then there's nice, happy people inside helping you to vote. And to me, it looked exactly like what I went through when I would vote in the US. Except in the US, I would say by and large, you're going to churches because, church buildings are everywhere in different neighborhoods there. And these are buildings that are useful, but they're not used all the time, right? So they're open and available during the day, and they also have a volunteer force of church members that want to help out. And so in Russia, it's just a little different in that instead of a church, it's a public school. But I like the clip that you shared, Kevin, where the guy mentioned that it's more of a holiday, and it's like a few days, and it's on the weekend, and there was no school for off on Friday because they had to vote.
Correct.
Which is a very good point that I never thought of. Like, why does the U.S. do it on a Tuesday when everyone still has to work? It's just an interesting question that never crossed my mind before.
Actually, on Friday morning, we were just back from Belgrade, and we were doing all day long. We were doing interviews. We also went to RT, and I couldn't understand what was going on because there were so many kids, like groups of kids in different parts of Moscow. And I was thinking, like, why? So I figured that they were going somewhere, like an excursion, maybe to a museum, somewhere else, with their teachers, like the whole class. And I was like, why? Like, it's Friday. Come on, it's, But then today they said that, yes, Friday was official day off for schools. So kids, just not to lose this time, they created some cultural program for them. So yeah, I think it's also a great memory for school kids. And when they grow up, they will, remember this day in a good way and will gladly go voting. Also, I remember myself when it was my first time when I could actually go and vote, and I saw many youngsters who are just turned 18, and they felt proud that they finally can go and kind of fool themselves 100% Russian citizen and go and vote. So it was nice to see that there are so many younger people also taking part in this election.
Okay.
So guys, I'm gonna jump off.
We've got Gleason trying to log on. Do you see him? Because I don't see him.
No. Oh, so Rick's got to run.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Rick, I'll send you that link later.
Sorry, which link, Kevin?
The link to the voting system here.
Right. Yeah, and I'll try to come back on as well. I just need to get things cranked up for my regular broadcast tonight. And Nada, I'm very interested in having you on my show because I see you're with the BRICS Journalists Association. I'd love to have you on and find out more about that. So maybe we could arrange to do that.
It would be my pleasure.
Okay, I'll have Kevin or Joseph get your contact info and forward it over to me, and I look forward to that. And I will try to come back a little later on in the broadcast. I think you guys are going to be on for a while tonight, and you've got a big audience, so I'll do that and maybe simulcast some of this out during my regular broadcast tonight as well. And thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this tonight. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you
be
so
back.
much.
Thanks for coming, Rick.
Thank you. Bye.
Talk to you later.
So, Kevin, did you hear what I was saying about Gleason? Apparently, he's trying to log on, but I don't see him on my side.
I don't see him either. I don't see him. I do have Timothy.
Hello.
Timothy? Who is Timothy?
Leaving and others were joining. I might as well come and join the crowd because it's very interesting, and I'm enjoying seeing just how different the voting systems are in Russia to where I'm originally from, which was a proportional representation country, to now in the UK where it's a very much first past the post. I'm enjoying seeing how people believe their votes really matter and how that engages with the populace and makes people really want to come out and vote, which is a great thing.
Wow. So you are from Russia, but you've spent many years.
I'm actually not from Russia. I'm from the other side of the globe. I've got a bit of an accent.
Aussie.
From
close enough.
New Zealand.
Yeah. Smaller island than Anasi.
So one of the
so
questions,
Timothy's a good friend of mine and provides a lot of feedback and help on our channel. He's good in research. Let's just leave it at that.
my better half is much better in the research, and
Well,
Jay Tulip is my other half, and she's normally the one providing all of that research. So when I've got a number of questions, then I always ask her, and she'll normally point me in the right direction for a lot of this information.
So you've been listening all
I know
evening.
that name.
I have been listening all evening. The stream's been quite busy, so I didn't want to jump in and crowd, so I thought I'll just wait a little while.
We're actually curious how many people we could get on the screen. We had 9. So, got any questions, Timothy?
So one of the questions I do have, and I'm not wanting to get political, but we've got some world leaders that are showing their age. Mr. Putin is very fit and healthy, or looks to be very fit and healthy. He certainly looks to be trying to keep as up with his diet, his health, all of that side of things. But looking towards the future, next 6 years, next 12 years, are there any candidates that are slowly in the up and coming that are being are obvious successes that people are starting to look towards?
Can I drop
that's a
in
very
an
good
insider's
question.
joke? Can I drop in an insider's joke? Russian
Please.
joke? We say like,
Yes.
hopefully they've done enough clones of Papa Poo. And Papa Poo, I found out this is how Westerners call Putin. And like, I love it. So hopefully they've done enough clones of Papa Poo to last him like kind of forever. So yeah, we are kind of a little bit on a Russian perspective. We are not afraid to think what's gonna happen after him, but kind of we don't really want to think about this, and really hoping that he will be healthy as long as possible. But at the same time, we see his crowd, the team he has been able to build around him, and there are so very amazing people on his team. And but what many of us think that he actually he's preparing his someone whom he could trust the country. Of course there will be elections, but still like he's preparing someone who could follow into his footsteps. But what we think it would be someone kind of not expected, and maybe someone who is out of not in the light, someone who's not seen too much.
Someone behind the scenes.
So at some point they will start bringing him in, but for now I think it's someone behind the curtain. Otherwise he would be better leave this guy alone for now and just let him because Russia is pretty huge. There are so many internal affairs. There is such a complicated situation in the world. So yeah, this guy better take his time and study from Papa Poo.
Well, it's a very good question, Timothy. I'm glad you asked it, because I've thought this many times. I've thought about bringing it up on different live streams. Just for me personally, I feel like I would love to see like a dream team of charismatic 40 and 50-year-old guys around Putin that kind of have a presence that we know about, that might one day take over if and when need be. But maybe Natasha, you know better because you are living in Russia longer and you speak the language. If it looks like they already kind of have that and I just haven't noticed it, or if it is, as you say, that maybe it's someone behind the scenes. Because I know Putin also was relatively unknown before he became president. Is that right?
That's exactly my point. So we think that there is someone kind of like successor, Is it English word successor?
Yes.
But we believe that he's being, training this guy kind of behind the curtain, because not to throw this man to the lions, to the mass media, to the international people. Like we don't want this guy to be hunted down in all senses of this word. So yeah, we think it's someone kind of maybe repeating the story with Papa Poo, how he came to be out of kind of nowhere. So yeah.
Well, ideally, it's not just one person, but a team of people, because anyone can, have a heart attack and or not wake up the next day.
Yeah.
We have amazing team like Lavrov, Zakharova, Shoigu, and other people. But again, say Lavrov, he's also not becoming younger, right? So at some point we thought that maybe Lavrov could be after Putin, but this was a while ago. Yeah, he's amazing what he's doing as a Minister of Foreign Affairs. So yeah, it's for sure it would be someone new, someone much younger. But yeah, we might know this person already, but just we might not know that he is actually, being prepared to possibly due to through democratic elections to step in.
How old was Putin when he became president the first time? Do we know?
I don't remember. He's like he just recently had, I think last year he had his anniversary jubilee. Was it like 70 years old? I think. I don't remember exactly. We're just 2
he's
weeks
71 now.
71, yeah. So, well, minus 23, minus 24, so 40 something. Yeah, 46.
So it'd be 51, so it'd be like 47, something like that.
No, there's a thing that Timothy mentioned that, like you said, that it's how to say, interesting for you to see that we are being so excited. The thing is, there have been for a while, like for years actually, there have been talks among Russians, like, do we even need to have elections, because one way or another, like there's just one outcome possible. This is like what the majority of us thinks, and many people are just, why are we spending so much money on organizing elections? Because it is expensive, you have to organize it. The country is huge, right? And there is like a lot of, like, the budget is huge. So why should we waste this much money when there are so many other things that could use this money for, right? Even not taking into consideration the operation that is going on. But at the same time, again, Russia, constitution, people have a right to vote. So even if the result is going to be the same, there are some international laws, like how it is, organized in the world, how it should be, So we are kind of following these rules, and we're just letting people vote and express their opinion. And again, like for me, yeah, there are so many things that could use this money, but at the same time, I am really happy that I can go, again, feel myself a part of Russian Federation. And many people might say that one vote, like my vote, doesn't decide anything. But at the same time, it also gives me this opportunity to feel partially, responsible. Maybe is not the best word, but I'm feeling that I'm part of the country because I can vote and I choose to choose my president. For those who choose their president, someone different, not Putin, still, they are doing what they can, like they're expressing their opinion. So that's why we still do have elections, even though many people kind of questions, do we actually have to do it?
So my particular view on that sort of concept is just like a number of laws, you've got to support the legal process, even if you think somebody's guilty. So you have to look at it from the other side of it. You can't get rid of elections because you like somebody so much and they're doing such a great deal with the country. You've got to put on your hat and turn around and say, okay, let's say this was the exact opposite. Let's say this person wasn't doing very well, how do we have a mechanism to then get them out of power? And if you continue that, right, we always have this mechanism and we're constantly reaffirming this person's good, we want them in power, then you've also got that very same mechanism to say this person's not good and this is how we get them out of power. And if you don't have that sort of mechanisms, suddenly you're having the only mechanism available is taking up arms against the government. And that's never going to be a good.
I agree with you, Timothy, 100%. You have to have it in place. And it's a safety mechanism. Just like you could say, well, I've been driving in a car for 50 years. I've been wearing my seatbelt and I've never gotten in a car accident. I guess I don't need my seatbelt. No, you still need your seatbelt. You have to have mechanisms in place because you want to build a country, if nothing else, for your generations to come, to live well in and to have a meaningful, fruitful life in. So that's my opinion anyway. So.
Yeah, you guys just answered my co-host Arkady's question. He could not make it tonight. He sent me a message yesterday and he said, I have a question for you and you're not going to like it. And I said, well, if you come on the show, you can ask it and I'll answer it. He told me what it was when he couldn't make it. So his question was why have an election when the outcome is already known? So thank you for answering that. Timothy's lovely wife asked 10 dozen people across the world, 10 dozen Russians, the same question. And some of the responses came back pretty much what you guys said. And let's take a look at some of these.
Please pull it up. So Arkady, he's like your Josiah on your show. Is that right?
He's like my Josiah, yes. So what it said here is, for me, the main result of these elections is that Russian citizens abroad do not hesitate to demonstrate publicly that they are citizens of Russia. And the attempts of the enemies to make Russia think that I'm ashamed to be a Russian failed. Our people openly go to vote in all countries of the world. Russians line up in front of embassies in spite of all deaths. Now more than ever, unity is important, and I categorically do not support those who are trying to create internal discord between our people. It is the discord of Russians against Russians. We will survive only if we unite, otherwise we will be exterminated one by one. So that was, I don't have the name on that one. Another one is from Tanya, to confirm the legitimacy of the elected president. The more people who voted, the more legitimate the status of the chosen people. For myself to be responsible for who runs my country on my behalf, and with any controversial issues, those who complain but do not set foot in the election booth cannot say that they have any complaints. So whoever is in charge, and with or without your voice. Julia said, in the sense of why hold elections, because this is the choice of every person. There are also those who support other candidates, probably more than expected. So they do have the right to choose. I asked somebody why he did not go to vote. He waved and said, everything is clear. And I said, well, suddenly tomorrow you'll wake up and they will tell you that the president's name is Ivanov. And his answer was, then we're all effed. So, let me skip through some of these. I've got dozens of them. It's an honor to take part in a great event and be involved so greatly warms my soul. Oleg said to pay tribute to the man who changed the life of every Russian for the better, to feel your involvement in the most important event in the history of Russia and community with the entire Russian people. When we are united, we are invincible. So this has been an ongoing thread through all of these. Svetlana said, because we follow the laws. Until the elections are over, we don't know 100%. That is, we're not a nearby country where elections were simply canceled. The government needs to see if there is support for what they are doing and where more or less needs to go. That is, where it's necessary to work harder. Natalia and Vladimir, I'll end with them. They gave me a bunch of bullet points here. It must be legitimate elections according to the law. Russians are people who keep the law. If everyone gets lazy, who will choose the president? They also said, well, we wanted to support Vladimir Vladimirovich. And it was very important for them that no one abroad could accuse Putin of something being wrong. They finished with, we really love our president. I myself and many friends could have missed the elections earlier, but not now. A lot of people are going to vote for the president for the first time because it is the right thing to do.
Right. Thanks, Kevin, for sharing that. So Kevin, while you pull up the next thing that we're going to go on to, Natasha, I'm curious, you had mentioned that there's going to be a party in Red Square, something like that. Is that right?
I guess, yeah. So March 16th, it was 10-year anniversary of Crimea, of voting in Crimea to join Russia.
Hey.
Yay!
Wow.
10
years. Wow.
So first I saw, because we were heading to National Hotel where RT was having all the interviews, and I saw like there was some music, people walking around, like lots of amazing stuff happening, lots of flags on Red Square, Manege area. So they were setting up something for big festivities. I thought this was for election maybe, but then I saw this huge, placate saying 10 years, and oh yes, Crimea. But they decided to throw celebrations on Monday because of the elections, right? So tomorrow, I asked them, they said on Monday. So I haven't Googled it yet, but I guess there would be something really amazing. Hopefully it will be open to everyone. I don't know, sometimes they do these things, if you want to enter, I think you should go earlier just to go inside, because at some point, if there are too many people on Red Square, they just close the gates. But maybe be some concert, something else. The flags, like I've never seen this many flags on Manejная площадь Square. Like it's gonna be something really amazing, and it's great for us to consolidate. So Crimea, we love you.
Yeah, so this was the television tower. This is the television tower in Simferopol that's playing. And they lit it up in the colors of the Russian flag. It has words going around it. We are Russia. Nash Russia. So yeah, 10 years. So the date line here, a lot of people don't know this. The 16th is the day that they held the referendum, March 16th. March 17th, Crimea made the official request of the Russian Federation to take them on, and Putin actually signed the order from the Duma on the 18th. Now, because of the elections, we normally would have celebrated on the 17th. But because of the elections, yes, it went to the 18th, and everything is closed here tomorrow. No school.
Wow.
Celebrations. So it's a big holiday here.
There's just been recently, there's been this TV series called 10 Days Before Spring, or 10 Days to Spring, 10 дней до весны. amazing TV series. I binged them in just one night. It's about what happened. It starts with this events on Maidan, and it goes all the way to the Crimea thing, and until Crimea is reunited with Russia. Very interesting TV series. It's like non-document, but they did amazing. They combined documental footage of like from Maidan, from Sevastopol, from like many documental stuff, but they are like made into the movie very organically. So those who understand Russian, welcome, watch it. Those who don't, maybe there's some other way to to create subtitles. Maybe I don't know, maybe we could make even a project or something like this, come up with subtitles. I could try to reach out how to say, the team of this movie, and we could give them this idea to create like English subtitles or something, and upload this to some platform that international people could watch this, because this is really, I remember this what was going on 10 years ago pretty like in detail, and these TV series, they are like align a lot with what's going on. So yeah, I think it would be really eye-opening for many Westerners to, in a form of TV series, to kind of live through what was going on there and why the things are the way they are.
So it's half drama, half documentary, edited together.
It is all like drama, but it's they show it. They take. Kevin, have you seen this TV series? Because you've been nodding.
I have, yes.
Okay, so it's all centers on they take as an example one family. One son lives in Moscow. Some like several members live in Crimea. Several members live in or either live or just go for work in Kiev. So as an example of one family, they kind of have not different views, but different walks of life. And then all these events, they make them rethink what's going on, like what the family is, and again, like they managed to show pretty much all sides of it, Ukrainian side, Russian side, Crimea side. So I think it's amazing. And documentary thing, it just the how to say, what's going on in the movie, in the TV series, just in many scenes they would start from the documentary footage, and then it will organically go into scenes with actors. So, which says that they are actually following the timeline of what was going on. So the only drama thing, fiction thing, is just they thought of some family. But I have to check out, maybe there are some also, it's not completely fiction. Maybe there was some kind of family like this, and they were choosing their stories as well, putting into the series.
Wow, very interesting. I'm glad you said that, because it made me think. Russia has Yandex. If you're a Westerner and you live in America or Britain, you don't know. So Russians, they can open up their Yandex browser, and if something's in English, it will almost immediately dub it for them.
Only English. They have major it's English, French, German, Spanish, and I think they keep adding new languages. And what's amazing, you just insert the link, and you don't have to wait like half an hour, even 5 minutes. In 30 seconds, like in the matter of 1 minute 30 seconds, you can continue watching the YouTube video, but it is already being revocalized in the language you chose, in Russian.
This is Yandex?
Yes.
So Yandex is not just Russian.
No, I mean, in Yandex, through Yandex, you can watch videos in different languages. They're automatically being translated into Russian, either and it's already voice over, just you have to 30 seconds, and then there's you can choose either it's going to be a girl voice or a guy's voice, and there will be a voiceover. So like in the matter of seconds it's translating, and there is no huge delay, maybe like half a second or something. So you're just watching it live, and this is the hack actually I use. Maybe you will need it at some point. We recently had an online conference for the year of family in Russia, and I needed to, I was helping with translating a video from some American, and like I did not have a lot of time, so okay, let's go to Yandex. I uploaded this to my YouTube channel, went to Yandex, then I made a screen of of Yandex voice overing this video into Russian, so kind of making translation. So then I downloaded this video and just sent to the organizers of this conference, and voila, in the matter of 5 minutes, I had already a legit a video clip of an American translated into Russian and already voiced over. So
wow. So Westerners could download the Yandex browser and they could watch stuff that is Russian in English if they needed to.
I don't think you even have to download it. Sometimes it's possible to just, when you go to the yandex.ru, or just, there's another way, YA.ru, so short for Yandex. Sometimes it's possible even through there, just through the browser to watch it. If not, then yeah, you can download Yandex browser and go there.
I mean, if you're not familiar with it, guys, I highly recommend it. Whoever's watching right now, it's very good. I've tested it on my channel, and it's so good. Like, my sidekick Josiah, who's got like a dark beard and hair, it gives him like a heavy man voice, and then it has someone different giving me like the lighter guy voice. And of course, if there's a female on it, it has a female voice. It's like it is right on. I'm way impressed with how well it works.
Just you should be careful, because I don't think it counts the views. So for example, for you as a YouTuber, views are important, then I don't think if someone is like Russians are watching your videos through Yandex browser, then YouTube would not count these as views. So what some Russian bloggers, for example, what they do, they would take their video in another language, and through Yandex they make this voiceover. They then download it and they upload it on their channel, so that they get the views for the audience that does not speak other languages other than Russian.
Kevin, do you know if it counts as views or not?
I would imagine the counting as views is geographically based. So if you've got a Russian person who's on a VPN in a Western country, then it's a Western view from that perspective. Where if it's coming from a Russian IP address, then it's not counted as a monetized view for your channel statistics.
Right. So it's a question of money,
correct,
but not necessarily views, right?
You just remembered me that all Russia is so freaking grateful to the sanctions, because what they did, they paid us all. What's this? How's it called? YouTube what? You pay for YouTube subscriptions to have no ads. How do you call
Premium.
it? YouTube Premium. So yeah, all Russians, thank you so much to YouTube for paying us like YouTube Premium for free. We've been enjoying like 2 years without advertising. Mamma mia.
Everybody else has a whole bunch of plugins.
Yeah,
very good. So Timothy, I'm curious, what's your interest in Russia?
Mostly my other half, Jay. She has historical, or shall I say, ancestry ties, and we're looking to move across at some point.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So she is just genetically Russian, and she has a fondness for the way Russia's leaning today.
Yes. She has been there in the past, but only as a visitor. And so all of that process to change everything is getting sorted out. And of course, I can't really say much without then mentioning, and a large chunk of her work is related to that area of the world.
Russia-based, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. So you mean she's Kevin's assistant?
I would say I am her assistant. She is much deeply embedded in Russia and the Russian language. So, Hitesh is giving me crud because we aren't answering any questions. So,
let's do it, man. Come on.
Let's take a look here.
I'm keeping it exciting. You
I
interrupt
will-
me, Kevin, and make it
I will
happen.
answer. I will answer Hitesh's question since he's the one who's been complaining. So he said he asked, how far does $500,000 go in Moscow and a place comparable in Crimea to buy a big enough apartment or house and start a small business? You know, $500,000 US will go quite a ways in Russia.
I'm trying to count these zeros, you know, like to understand how much.
Yeah, convert that to millions of rubles. It's a
like
lot.
50 million rubles.
50 million rubles, 60 million rubles. Yeah. So
It's quite a
I don't know.
apartment in Moscow for sure. Just part of
Yeah,
it, and then
you-
a lot of money for business. So really good money.
You can buy quite the ritzy apartment in Yalta on the embankment, just steps away from the sea, for about 26 to 28 million rubles right now.
Which would translate to what? Would convert to what for this guy?
About
250,000.
$280,000.
Right. So with $500,000 American dollars, he could live in Moscow or in Crimea. It's just a question of, does he prefer New York style living or Florida beach style living?
Yeah, and I'm giving him the price of one of the fanciest apartments in Yalta. I know this because I was looking at them with a woman we're helping move over here. You know, you can buy a pretty darn nice place here for a lot less money.
Can I give a business idea?
If you like somewhere in the countryside, then it would be a lot less still.
Yes, quite a bit less.
Business idea. So, for example, I was thinking about Moscow, but maybe it makes more sense choosing somewhere south or with the sea. So he could use some of this money to buy either apartment or better, like a house somewhere in the seaside, but not buy completely, but like buy using what they called like a loan or something. How to say?
Mortgage.
Mortgage. So and then rent this house. Because many people, like Russians, are mainly traveling, you know, in Russian south nowadays to the seaside. So there's renting to other people who are enjoying summer in the seaside. So this will cover the mortgage and plus, and this way, you know, this is a great additional money. And then you will have a lot of money left for your actual business, for your other apartment. That's what some Russians do. It's been really, really successful for them.
Wow,
and
very
also
good.
there's another trend. There's another trend in new territories, because like the real estate market is just been huge there. You know, Mariupol and other places, because people have been buying houses and land there, like as we say in Russian, как горячие пирожки, like hot pies, because it's also like a place for, you know, to go in summer, appreciate staying in the seaside. So yeah, it's another way how Russians are choosing now to invest their money, you know, buying a house there or buying an apartment either for themselves, kind of like dacha, or, you know, to rent it afterwards.
I like that expression, hot pie. How do you say that in Russian?
Как горячие пирожки.
Как
Продается
горячие
как
пирожки.
горячие, so it sells like hot pies, like горячие пирожки. Oh yes, please.
Cool. So Kevin, do we have some more
So-
questions?
Yeah. So Bear just posted this. What's the cost of property square footage? You know, we don't go by square foot here. It's square meters. And what property costs you really depends on where you're wanting to move. I have no clue in Moscow. In Crimea, it runs about 1 million rubles per 10 meter by 10 meter chunk of land. And in most cities, if you go further out from the resort area where we live, you know, you can get away with a single 10 by 10. But where we are, you have to have 3 in order to build a house. So in Yalta, about $1 million per Sotka.
And there are
But
also-
you can go towards Simferopol and you can get, 5-6 for that.
Right,
and
right,
there are
right.
different projects made by foreigners in Russia. So, for example, somewhere in the like St. Petersburg area, there are some farmers from Netherlands who are now they're taking this huge part of land, for dacha, Russian dachas, like summer houses, and they are like restoring it and also like trying to build communities, not only international but like for everyone. And I have these maps that they have the prices of the buildings, and again it depends. For example, if you want a house or piece of land next to the forest, it's one price. If you want it by the lake or by the river, another price. If it's in the middle of the area, it's different. So, but again, what I've heard from these foreigners, there's a huge interest from foreigners coming, like settling in Russia, because prices here, you could sell your house, say in the States, come here with your whole family, and you will have money enough to build even a bigger house, and you will have a lot of money left for your family, like for years. So
Very
I've
good.
seen some of the pictures of views from where Kevin's been describing, and it looks very nice. Personally, I'd like to jump in that water and swim around, but hey, that's just me.
Crimea is amazing. You should
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I have.
Yep,
I'm
we
in
love it here.
Moscow. I'm west of center, and I'm renting an apartment. It's a 4-bedroom plus a living room, and it's something like $2,000 a month. Just to give you an idea, if you're trying to decide where you might want to live.
But it's kind of high end, so it's pretty. Most Russians would not like. Usually, we would rent something up to 100,000 rubles, or maybe like 50, 70, 80. So yours is just kind of luxurious for Russian, So still,
I have too many kids. I can't help it.
Yeah, but still, it's pretty to show the difference. So it's pretty affordable
Right.
for a Westerner to come here.
Right. Okay.
So Miss
Kevin,
Texas
we
G,
have
that is not an acre for 10,000 US dollars. That's 10 meters by 10 meters. I don't know what that is in acres. I know that you get, I'm going to do the plug for Tim Kirby here. For $188,000 in, what's the name of the city he's got the project going in? Northwest of Moscow anyway. You get a half acre of land and a house for $186,000. So, and priority, you bypass the quota for your immigration.
There's also
Sorry, Natasha.
Where you can, my bad, sorry. We also have this project that you can get 1 hectare of land. I'm not sure how hectare of land for free if you actually gonna go and build their house and do some agriculture. So it's and as far as I know, not only Russians are eligible to to get this land. Also, like for what I've heard, I haven't made my research on this, but I've heard from foreigners there are also like some Westerners who are planning to come here and use this program and to get 1 hectare of land for free from Russian state.
Wow.
Yep.
Very interesting.
In terms of your size, a 10 by 10 square meters is 2.5% of an acre.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It's 10 meters by 10 meters, so it's 100 square meters. And an acre is 4,000 square meters. So,
wow. Timothy, have you been to Russia yet?
I haven't been to Russia yet. I've been busy trying to get time off work so as I can go, or at least I haven't been in a little while. It's been some time.
Okay. Well, you got to come take a trip, man, especially if you're planning on living here.
We are planning on taking a trip as soon as we can get everything sorted out.
Very good. All right, so Kevin, we'll we'll probably be wrapping up in less than like, we're going to end this thing before it hits 3 hours, right? So what do we got that we want to cover before we run out of time?
We have a few more questions.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Natasha sounds like she has something to say.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the guy who was from Rostov Veliki, Novikov, I think.
He was a professor. I remember that.
Yeah, Professor Novikov. He mentioned that when his son was born, he received a gift from his Russian neighbors. And I just wanted to say that we have this, it's not traditional, but custom. It's usual for us that when someone has a kid, people, like friends and family, they will give, if in case they have kids in their family, pretty sure they have like a stock of kids stuff, clothes and toys and everything. And it's not because like kids stuff in Russia is pretty expensive, and I think it's the same in the whole world, because of the marketing. Because parents are willing to give whatever for their kids. So kids stuff is really expensive, but kids tend to grow up out of things just in the matter of months. So that's why we kind of, we are a community society. So we try to help each other out. It's not like because Russians are poor or something. No, it's just, helping out each other out. So it is pretty normal for us. But when someone has a new kid in the family, he doesn't even have to ask for it. People around, even just neighbors, in the building would say, "Oh, you've got a kid. Like I have this stroll, koляска, like kids stroll. How do you call it? Or like I have toys. I have something else." So we're kind of helping each other out. So that's why he maybe received this gift, and so it's nothing unusual in Russia.
Wow, thanks for sharing.
Okay, so can you get temporary or permanent residence in the Russian Federation after you buy property as a European Union pensioner? You can get temporary or permanent residency in Russia without buying property as a European pensioner. So there's lots of ways to get here. That's from Sovoko. You can contact myself or Joseph. We'll put you in touch with our wives who actually deal with this stuff on a daily basis, and
Exactly.
we can figure out how to get you here if necessary.
Yeah.
Bruce Schreiber.
Crimea, and I'm good for Moscow. But anything in between, either one of us can probably do.
Yeah. So Bruce Schreiber, is voting compulsory in Russia as it is in Australia? It is not compulsory. You have free choice. It's one of the things we like here. You can vote. You don't have to. But as you saw, 83% of the country voted. So
I think that's the key thing. If you have engagement with the population, you're not going to need to force them to vote. They're going to want to vote.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree, Timothy. That's kind of sad that Australians have to vote. And I think I heard that before. And I don't know why that would be. I can only imagine that the people are just so, what's the word that's polite to use? But for whatever reason, it's not on their heart to the point that the government has to tell them they have to vote. It's very interesting.
And another interesting thing, because you mentioned, guys, that, for example, in the States, there is the system of debates, like campaigns, etc. So maybe I've been too busy and I've been out of the loop, but I cannot recall anything from Putin, vote for me, like doing any campaigns at all. He just continued his daily busy job, so he was not agitating at all. So I never heard from anyone vote for him, so I think it's also pretty telling.
Very interesting. So there was no advertising campaign from Putin.
He's not about he's someone who's actually talking the walk, walking the talk.
Walking the talk.
So he's doing
walking the walk and talking the talk. The difference here is a lot of people can see what Putin's doing. He's there. He's out. He's about we've seen a number of interviews where he sat down with people and had lengthy conversations. He addressed the Duma not too long ago. There's a lot that happens that makes him, I won't say more approachable, but certainly in a lot more people's mind. Where if you look at the leaders of a number of other countries, they're leading the country, but in a way that doesn't let everybody see what they're doing. They're not really engaging with the rest of the populace in the same way, and so have to have that advertising for a, hey, this is what I'm doing, because you can't see it otherwise.
Did the other three candidates, did they advertise? Were they campaigning?
There was very little campaigning done here.
Oh, okay. From
You know,
everyone.
I've seen mention that there were some billboards and, you know, a few TV ads, but I haven't seen any.
Wow.
Can I ask, by the way, about the candidates? Why do you keep calling this guy Slutsky? Why do you call them in Russian Slatsky? Because it sounds not really, you know, in English, you know, Slutsky, kind of strange. Because he's Slutsky. It's pretty common Russian name. Why do you say it in English like this, Slutsky? Is it like in English how they portrayed him in the West?
I didn't say it. Kevin, did you say it?
Well, I thought I said Slutsky, but, you know, I do have that awful American accent even when I speak Russian.
Because I thought maybe you were making fun of them or something. So, because you're not the first one. I saw this name being, you know, pronounced like this on other like European Western channels discussing Russia. So I'm like, why? Be careful, guys.
In English, yeah, in English that's what it would be, but then, you know, most Americans say Sputnik instead of Sputnik, and you know, I don't know. I could go down the list. So
actually, in the beginning of this conversation, you mentioned that I probably should talk to someone Russian who's young, like older than 30 years old, who remember how it was before Putin and after. And I happen to be 39. So when Putin came, I was 16, and I do remember. So I'm not like I might look young, but I'm not brainwashed. Like I do remember, like growing up, 90s were like it was insane. Like it was really insane. Like any worst criminal movies you can imagine. It was kind of a reality in Russia, and I remember that growing up, I felt so ashamed. Kind of ashamed for my country because of Yeltsin and all. And I remember that I was like, say, like 12 years old, and I was really stressed about politics and like how Russia and international affairs. And I remember myself thinking, not once, not twice, like throughout the years, my adolescent years, that it's I don't think it's how it's supposed to be, you know. Like I don't think that a kid of 12 years old should be concerned about politics, you know. And I remember myself, like my Putin came at 16 from does it sound okay?
No, it doesn't. Is it you? Whose microphone is it?
So yeah,
dropped out and then it came back.
So Putin came when I was 16, and for a while, like I did not think about this, but then suddenly I, you know, found myself thinking maybe a couple of years after, like, wait a second, I've been living my life. I've been, you know, doing like studying, you know, falling in love, something else. I've been having normal life of a teenager or adolescent. And I haven't been thinking and like worrying about Russia and politics for a couple of years now. So after this, I like, you know, made these connections. Oh, I guess this is Putin. So like I can find, so all this for more than 20 years, I've been able to, you know, leave and do my stuff. I know that country is in the best hands possible. And yeah, so that's like, I actually do this experience to completely now. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Natasha. You are breaking up, though. I'm sorry to say. Do you have a shirt mic, or what is it? Do we know?
I have nothing.
Okay.
I switched. Maybe it was the charger.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's not doing it now. It seems to have stopped now.
Should I repeat?
Okay.
No. We heard it. It was just
Okay,
it was
yes.
starting to pop really badly.
Yeah.
You don't have to repeat anything.
sorry.
It all came through. No, it's fine. No, I appreciate you sharing because Westerners don't realize how rough it was. I mean, they might know it's in their mind, but they haven't really heard stories personally from people how hard perestroika was, you know. So
Just one short example. My father is military, and I remember so military, they were not allowed to have, like, if it was still Soviet Union, my family would be, amazing, because my mom is a scientist, my father is military man, so it was kind of like an ideal, perfect family with good salary in very respected professions in the Soviet Union. Then Soviet was collapsed, and so it became a nightmare because we didn't really have money, or, like, for example, my uncle, he worked in a factory that were producing like toilets, this ceramics toilets, and he would receive payment in toilets. So it was,
wow.
or like another friend, he was working on the factory that was producing this railroad metal things, so they would receive salary in the pieces of these railroads. So it was up to them to go to the market and try to sell it, or either to exchange it for food, for something else. So everyone was fight for your life, yourself, that's up to you. So military, they were not allowed to have a side job. So my father, as many, would buy a car and go and with me again.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
We can hear you, but it's just starts to pop pretty badly for some reason.
He would go, and at the daytime he would do his job as a military, and at night he would spend the whole night driving around the city, and maybe someone would need a taxi or a car. So, and I remember this, when you are in the morning, me and my mom, we were waiting for him, would he come home and have money, would we have money to buy food? And I remember so many times when he would come in the morning without nothing. He made nothing, the look in his eyes, and then he couldn't rest. He had to go to work, and then he would come home from work, and he would tell a story that one of his fellow guys from military decided to end his life, and he shot himself because he couldn't stand not being provided for his family. And it was not just once. So yeah, the 90s in Russia were really nightmare, and what Putin was able to pull off, I mean, that's why so many Russians, we do believe in him, we stand by him, that's why we vote for him, because we want him to represent us, and we feel much safer knowing that our country is, someone in charge, actually caring about us, country, and what Putin said numerous times, that Russia is him, he is Russia, so he's actually married to our country, and he's been doing such an amazing job, and we're so freaking grateful and so happy to be living kind of at the same time with this amazing leader. And yeah, so something like this. Sorry, I'm being emotional, but it's just love.
No, we want your sincerity.
So, a couple more questions here. Grassy Knoll asked, when the Russian people vote for a president, is it a direct vote, or are they voting for electors? This is something that Ilya talked about earlier, Professor Ilya. We do have direct votes. So, one vote counts for one vote here. If somebody does not get 51% of the votes, then there's a runoff between the top two contenders. So, yes. Jolan Turk asked me specifically, did I see the footage from the U.S. State Department threatening to punish people who wanted to report on the integrity of the Russian elections, and what are my thoughts? You know, when I moved to Crimea, I was interviewed by the FSB because of my background in propaganda in the United States. And the question they asked me, the only question they asked me, is what I thought about the fact that the United States says that Crimea is not part of Russia. I was not very tactful in my answer. My wife corrected me. Of course, they all speak English anyway. It was a panel of 7 FSB officers. But what she said is basically, Kevin doesn't care what the United States thinks because he believes in true democracy. The U.S. State Department, Jolan, is putting out propaganda, and they are threatening the international observers primarily because the OSCE observers were not invited to watch the elections. And the reason the OSCE observers were not invited is because they've proven, much like the rest of the West, that they're not trustworthy. They were helping Country 404 target Russian positions in Donetsk and Lugansk. So they proved they could not be trusted. So why would we trust them to fairly monitor the elections here? This is why independent people came and looked over the elections here. I actually know some of them. I know a gentleman from Nigeria that was in Simferopol and monitoring the elections. So they were recognized people from international countries. And I will just repeat what I said to the FSB at that time. I don't care what the State Department says. If they haven't come after me by now, they're not going to, because I dig up their propaganda for a living. That's how I make a good amount of my money here in Russia. So I was a propagandist for the U.S. Department of Defense. I'm not afraid to say that I was. And, you know, take about 98% of what you hear in the West right now and chalk it up to propaganda. I'll do a video on that one of these days.
Wow. Very interesting, Kevin.
The country is routinely saying they want regime change. You're probably not going to trust their inspectors.
Exactly.
They've got a motive behind it, which they've stated.
Yeah. You know, they want to overthrow the government here like they've done with many other governments. And this is the sign of a failing nation. You know, you can take a look at what happened before the fall of the Soviet Union and apply it to what's going on in the United States. And there's similar threads going on over there. You know, I do not wish bad on the United States. The people of the United States are wonderful people. The government has a big problem. That's where the issue is.
Yeah, it's very, very sad because these are real families and people in both countries and all around the world.
Yeah.
So,
and Lim K wants to know from you, Joseph, how does it feel when the U.S. government does not want you to be in Russia?
Well, it's one of the things that inspired me to start my YouTube channel, because it was kind of scary, because we were not fleeing America or the West. We just came here because we realized it would be cheaper for our adult kids to go to university. And my wife had spent 9 years in America, and she thought, well, we both thought it would be nice to take a turn to live in her country. And so we just innocently came here. It was good timing because Christoph was about due for grade school in Russia, according to his age. So we realized if we move now, Christoph will go into grade school right on time for Russia, and Alex and Aurora will start university right on time for Russia. So we just came here and thought everything was fine. We heard that there was rumblings in the news that there might be something that was going to happen between Russia and its neighbor. And then 8 days after we got here, the special military operation happened. So I was kind of ill. I was kind of sick. I was like, my gosh, did I make a mistake? And, you know, with my embassy telling me I had to leave, and then with sanctions and people saying, oh my gosh, go buy olive oil and Parmesan cheese before it's all gone. I didn't do that. I can still buy olive oil and Parmesan cheese, by the way. But I was inspired to start the channel because of all this stuff, because I felt like, my gosh, my kids live on this planet, and now they are in danger, and other families are in danger. And I am considered behind enemy lines now by my government. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I could do something. I could support something. I could tell the world that Russia's normal place. And even if I end the Cold War 3 days sooner, you know, I did my part.
Yep.
In Russian we have this phrase: человек предполагает, Бог располагает. So a man, like a person, is planning something, makes plans, but the God actually, you know, controlling it all. So it was not a coincidence that the timing of your coming here. So you clearly have been serving your purpose, and you know, for the whole world. So what an amazing outcome. And again, I'm a philosopher. I try to get as much good from any shitey situation. So see, in this situation there is still so many good things, because so many people around the world have been kind of waking up, you know. And thanks to these 2 years, many masks has been, you know, thrown down, and more people are coming to realize not only about these atrocities in their international politics, but in all, you know, like we understand that we should come united, you know, this дружба народов, friendship of peoples. We should on our universal level, on people's level, not governments and guys like in power, just us normal people, we should try and reach out to each other, figure out what's going on, like talk to each other, you know, exchange with our culture and everything, understand each other better, and don't listen to what they're trying to push on us, these narratives. Just, you know, people's diplomatics is kind of the way to go. So thank you so much, Joseph, and all you guys who've been contributing to this. This is so important, not only for Russia, but for all of us on our beautiful planet.
Well, thank you, Natasha, for saying that. And yeah, that phrase is actually in the Bible, that man makes plans, but God orders his steps. You know, I can plan all I want, but God's going to tell me where I'm going to stand. So it's definitely comforting and interesting, for sure.
So I'm going to reply to this. Anne-Marie, the thing about propaganda is it requires a nugget of truth that you wrap in lies. And this is what makes it believable. It always starts with a little bit of truth. So it's just bending the truth is what propaganda is. It's called perception management. It's to take a little piece of the truth and get you to believe what they want you to think about that piece of truth.
Wow. Scary.
All right. Timothy looked like he had something on his mind.
No, I did, but then Joseph covered the point that Natasha had raised with me.
Okay.
Again?
So a couple of last questions before we get too late here.
Exactly. Bring us home, Kevin.
Can a person who holds a temporary or permanent residency vote in Russia? No. Easy answer. Have to be a citizen. I'm Canadian, and I don't think they allow them to collect their pensions in Russia. You are correct. The United States does not let us collect our pensions in Russia either. We have to have it deposited into a U.S. bank account. You would have to have it deposited into a Canadian bank account, and then you have to figure out how to get here. Anybody who needs help with that, I have the means to do that. are there any special incentives or faster permits to entrepreneurs who can fill the gap by producing stuff which is not being imported now and parallel imports increasing the cost? This is from Hitesh, and he's talking about maybe coming here and growing coffee. Hitesh, there's programs for entrepreneurs. I would say this. All of the programs I'm aware of, no matter how simplified they are, it will still take you about 3 years to get to citizenship here at a minimum. Residency, the whole process, no matter what way you come in, is a 2 to 3 year process for permanent residency.
I would ask,
and
I've never heard of Russian coffee before, as in beans being grown in Russia. I thought the parts of the world were really overlapping.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. I can tell you it's pretty tough. We're in one of the warmest and most humid areas of Russia. I have 2 coffee trees, and for the life of me, I cannot get beans off of them. So
wow,
they do not
cool,
grow
Kevin.
well here.
I mean, it's cool that you have the trees and you're trying.
Do you know
that? Well, I like coffee.
Do you know that climate used to be pretty different, maybe like 200 years ago, and in the St. Petersburg area, they were even growing up pineapples and stuff like this. So,
wow. In St. Pete? Wow.
Yeah, in this area, if you go there,
wow.
Go excursions in the outskirts of Leningrad, St. Petersburg, they will go to like old imperators' palaces. They would show you the pictures and like documents that I just remember the pineapples, but another amazing fruits and veggies that's in Russia, in St. Pete. Yeah. So, and also like Kevin, what you mentioned, I realized you were answering about, immigrants, but the thing is just not worthy mentioning that in Russia we have amazing support programs for entrepreneurship. So once you are even if you're not a citizen, still you are eligible to to become an entrepreneur. And it's like taxes are different, but still there are programs that can support you. But once you are a citizen, like as far as I know, like what I've heard, like I am an entrepreneur myself, but also like the impression what I've got from, not impression, like feedback I've got from international friends who are currently in Russia already citizens, they are really impressed with our system, with our low taxes, and we have this more business system. So government is actually being really supportive of entrepreneurs, and it's doing like a lot of free stuff. For example, free lawyers, free accountants. Like if we want to apply for some kind of grants to get money, funds from the government, again, they will help you out, like to come up with all the documents, etc., etc. So they are really supporting the entrepreneurship in Russia.
Yep.
Wow. Very good.
But most of these programs basically get you past not having to have a quota to get residency. And that takes about 6 to 8 months off the process.
Well, there is another way to get citizenship quicker in case you were actually like really, wanting to defend Russia's interests. So we're not mentioning this, but it's
it's one of 2 things, and if you don't speak real great Russian, you can't do one, and the other one, you don't want to go there because Peter is in the audience and he's looking for a wife.
I was just thinking back.
He was actually asking me for your. He was asking me for your phone number, Natasha.
I mean, I'm not talking about marriage. I'm talking about like if you are a true man, if you want to defend Russia, you go to a certain place, area, and this way a foreigner can get to citizenship really, not after 3 years. So,
I figured that was the one you were mentioning. That's a pretty darn quick way if you survive.
Yeah, but God, man makes plans. God
orders the steps.
Yeah. So Hitesh says he was asking.
So, Kevin, you planted 2 trees in hopes to grow your own coffee beans that you're going to grind up yourself in your kitchen and make coffee.
I'd be happy to get it to flower and get about 5 beans on it.
Okay.
I've got avocado trees growing here too. So,
wow,
Are they
amazing.
fruitful?
not yet. Planted them about 8 months ago. Right now, they're about 1 meter tall.
Do you have injir? This is the most important in Crimea. Injir.
Yes.
Oh.
Lots.
Can I come visit? I love injir.
You can anytime. We have plenty of room.
But Peter's his roommate, so keep that in mind.
No,
so
Kevin, Peter rents a room from us. We have a place to put you.
I volunteer.
Not with Peter.
When once the injir is ready, I will so willing to help you to get it from the trees. Not necessarily I cannot promise you that it will all end up in a jar. Probably most of it will be in my stomach. But at least a girl gonna try.
And better yet, we have the big white ones.
I've never seen those.
Oh yeah.
What one of the Crimea is magical place, many cultures. You have this Italian castle, Italian fortress in one place. You have Greek castle another place. So all many you have Muslim stuff. You have all a mixture of cultures. But what is also amazing, you can just go there and enjoy being this Asian person, and you can eat from the nature, because there are some injir like figs, there is this apricots, there is this nuts. So they're you just travel in Crimea and you eat from the bushes or from the trees, and it's for free. So it's an amazing experience.
Wow.
Yep.
So, Kevin, are there any questions we want to be sure we get in before we say our goodbyes? Because I want to end in 8 minutes or less.
The only question I've got here that I'm willing to answer is, can someone start a business in Russia without citizenship? Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very good.
And Hitesh wanted to clarify, he was talking about importing coffee and me roasting it for him. We actually have coffee importers here, Hitesh. So there are roasters around here. We've got a good coffee shop we buy from. The thing I will say about coffee roasters in Russia is it's something that they are starting to develop a knowledge of. So I can't usually get what I'm looking for. I often buy some green and do it on a frying pan, or buy a lighter roast, which seems to be popular here, and darken it up some. Or I buy from Ozone, which is our Amazon. Free plug for Ozone. We are not sponsored by them.
All right, well, let's start saying our goodbyes then.
Yeah, I'm going to say this before we say goodbye.
Please.
Sanctions have been good for Russia, but there is literally nothing that we cannot buy here that you can buy in the West. Think about where all of your Western products are built. My house has German plumbing that came from China. I have got an Italian pressure washer that came from China. My wife has a KitchenAid mixer, which is made by a Russian company out of the same parts, but they changed the name. There's nothing you can't buy here that you can buy in the West. Or they make it here.
Right.
Cool. There's this really funny joke meme in Russia, very popular, about sanctions. So one of the stereotypes about Russians is that every single Russian has a bag for bags. You know what I'm talking about? So after groceries, you do not throw away the bags. You collect them just in case.
Oh, yes.
You have a bag for bags. So in Russia, so
Yeah,
is it in
yes.
English like is it an English package of sanctions? How do you call this set of sanctions? How do you call it? Sanctions, like they
A
issued
package of sanctions.
package.
Yeah.
So package. So in Russian, it's called paket sankций. And paket is the same word for paket bag as bag for groceries. So there is a play of words, and we say that these Western guys issued like this package of sanctions number 30, and Russian took this bag of sanctions and put it into the bag for bags. So it's a play of word like paket с пакетами. So we've been just, okay, another bag of sanctions. Just put it in the bag for bag.
Good
One
description.
question there that I'm going to ask Nat. In terms of cosmetics, do you have many of the Western brands? What sort of alternatives are there for the ladies that would be coming across to Russia?
Naughty Kit just asked that as well. So that's a question
where I
for you,
noticed that and
Natasha.
thought, that would be a great one.
I don't really use cosmetic this much, maybe just a couple of products. And historically, I've been more for the ZOSH, healthy way of living. So I would usually opt for something more healthy, more natural. I mean, also like when it comes to cosmetics. So it would be, and usually Western brands are not healthy at all. And so that's why I would usually go for local Russian brands. But what's like, if we look at this market, I would say that lots of Korean cosmetics has been, has become really popular. It was popular even before because Asian cosmetic is actually much better, oftentimes much better than Western, and kind of a little bit more healthier. So it's been gaining popularity even before the operation. But now, like a lot of Korean cosmetics, still some luxury brands left, like in cosmetics. Many have stayed, but the thing is, what's been not only for cosmetics. So this situation has been a great opportunity for local brands to come to power. And what's been going on in between Russians, we've been kind of being solidarizing. So we've been going more and more to support local brands in cosmetics, in clothing, in food market, everywhere. So kind of like in cosmetics, yeah, some people suffer because like, oh, I have my favorite shade of what do you call this, lipstick. But there are so many new and so many more like local brands, especially like eco brands, like organic plants. So yeah, we're not suffering at all in the slightest. We are like more happy that it's been a great opportunity for Russian brands to actually to grow. So it's an amazing opportunity. We're really thankful. And another quick thing. It was a very funny video. I don't remember the blogger. So the girl actually made a video in Kokoshnik, and she used heavy Russian accent in the beginning of this operation, sanctions, and she said, "Thank you so much. Thank you so much for these sanctions, for taking care of our health. We no longer have Coca-Cola. We no longer have McDonald's. Thank you so much for taking all this bullshit out of our country, and you're been so amazing taking care, making sure that Russians are so healthy and fit and live long and happy. Thank you so much, dear Western countries." So this video became really popular. So it's been pretty much our opinion in this situation. We're very thankful for sanctions. Sometimes it's hard, but more or less it's kind of it's been pretty successful for us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I would say if you're listening to this and you're a Westerner and you're still afraid and you want your Western stuff, for instance, L'Occitane is in the shopping mall in my neighborhood, and there was word that it was going to close because of sanctions, and the words L'Occitane in Latin came down, and then they went right back up in Russian letters, and it stayed open. So there are still Western options here as well.
And if you miss your Western products, you can still buy them here.
I love it.
That was my favorite
Me
when I
too.
drank soda, Dr. Pepper.
The same here. The same here.
All right, guys, we better say our goodbyes. Let's start with you, Timothy. Tell us goodbye and tell us whatever you want to plug or where you want people to find you.
Well, I've had my channel link below if people want to look at fish videos and that sort of thing. I appreciate it's very different. It's been great to speak to you all, and thank you for everybody listening to me. All I'm going to really say is Dos Vidania and take care of each other.
Thanks, man.
Dos Vidania, Timothy. Thank you.
All the best to your wife. And come to Russia, please.
I know Jay will really enjoy it, and I'm sure I will as well.
So, Natasha, plug yourself and say goodbye.
Thank you very much, everyone. I still wanted to enjoy my amazing accent. So thank you so much for having me. Everyone, happy Elections Day, because I do believe this is kind of celebrating worth occasion, not only for Russians, but for the whole world, because I do believe as long as Papa Poo is with us, not only Russia, but the world also stands a chance of surviving. So yes, thank you so much. Also tomorrow, dear Crimea, happy holiday. We will be celebrating with you.
Thank you.
Joseph, thank you
Спасибо
so
большое.
Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, everyone who joined the panel before. And yeah, happy Maslenitsa. So happy spring, everyone. Happy year. And, you know, again, Дружба народов. Let's be friends and not let anything, anyone come between us. United we stand. So let's go. Thank you so much. Благодарю.
Thank you, madam. And guys, this has been a dual broadcast with my channel and Kevin. So Kevin, tell us who you are. Those who don't know, those who are watching you off of my channel.
Well, those of you watching me off of Joseph's channel know that I'm the guy with the banhammer. So, so no trolls allowed. But you can find me on YouTube at American Crimea. We stream about our life in Crimea in particular, in Russia. We do interviews with interesting people like Maria Butina and Timothy. So you can come see us there. If you want to hear about reality of propaganda from the West, you can actually go to 222. I have a link for this somewhere here. Infowars Press. Oh, Infowars Press. You can go there on YouTube. So that's me too.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everyone.
Here it is.
Oh, there it is. Infowars. And now it's gone. Here it comes again.
Those of you who on my channel who want to find Joseph, you can actually find him. You can find me on Telegram here. And you can find him. I know I have his channel here.
Yeah, there it is. But you gave me an extra S. Joseph's YouTube.
Well, hey, my iPhone doesn't speak English anymore either.
Do you guys know that before in the Russian language, we used to add S's to, not S's, S to S letter to the words to sound it more posh. It was like around, I don't know, like 18th or 19th century. So maybe Kevin is indeed Russian and he's just hiding.
Uh-oh.
Because there's I don't just so yeah, Joseph's very, very noble Russian, but like 18th, 19th century.
He is the only one wearing a suit here.
Well, I thought I had to dress up. It's election night coverage. So, guys, thanks for watching election night coverage with all of us. And I want you to go to bed now and celebrate tomorrow, whatever the results, although we think we already know what it is. And thanks for watching. all of us and even the people that were on before. And I'll make sure and put everything in the description, the contacts for the different people, so you can look them up and like and subscribe and follow all of us.
And we will get Natasha's contact information to Rick Walker.
For sure.
And he will make her famous on Canadian news.
Oh.
All right, guys. See you later.
Thank you so much. Happy
Have a
holidays.
good one.